The rain came down like judgment the night Victoria Hale stood on Ethan Cole's doorstep, mascara streaking her porcelain face, her $3,000 suit soaked through, and screamed the two words that should have ended everything: "You're fired." But in that moment, with his 6-year-old daughter Lily clutching his leg and thunder cracking overhead, Ethan realized the truth. This wasn't about his job. It hadn't been for months. The most powerful woman in Chicago's architectural world was unraveling in his doorway. And somewhere between the missed hints, the late-night emails, and the perfectly chosen birthday gifts, they'd crossed a line neither of them knew how to navigate. This is their story. Comment your city below so I can see how far this tale travels. The elevator doors opened to the 42nd floor of Hale and Morrison Architecture at exactly 6:47 a.m., and Ethan Cole stepped into the glass and steel cathedral that housed Chicago's most prestigious design firm with the same thought he had every morning: don't screw this up. He carried his daughter's lunchbox in one hand, the purple one with the unicorns that Lily had insisted on, and his worn leather portfolio in the other. His shirt was pressed but not expensive. His shoes were polished but not new. Everything about Ethan Cole screamed competent, reliable, invisible, exactly what he needed to be. "Morning, Ethan." Sarah from reception smiled without looking up from her computer. She was kind that way, acknowledging him without requiring conversation. He appreciated it. "Morning." He moved past her desk toward the open workspace where junior architects clustered in their ergonomic chairs and standing desks, already deep into SIAD programs and scale models. The office smelled like expensive coffee and ambition. Ethan's desk sat in the corner. Not the worst location, not the best. Middle of the pack, safe. He set down his things and booted up his computer, checking his watch. 6:52 a.m. Lily's school didn't start until 8:15, which meant his neighbor, Mrs. Chen, would have given her breakfast by now and would walk her to the bus stop at 7:45. The routine was airtight because it had to be. Single fathers didn't get the luxury of chaos. "Cole," Marcus Rivera appeared beside his desk, coffee in hand, eyebrows raised. "You see the email?" Ethan's stomach tightened. "Which one?" "The Riverside project. Victoria wants a full team meeting at 8. Marcus lowered his voice. "Word is the clients are getting cold feet. 3 months of work might be circling the drain." "Perfect." Ethan pulled up his inbox, scanning for the message. There it was, sent at 11:47 p.m. last night. Subject line: urgent. Riverside Development. All hands. He clicked it open. Team: client concerns regarding structural integration have escalated. Full presentation and revision proposals required by EOD Friday. This project represents 40% of our Q4 revenue. Failure is not an option. Meeting 8 a.m. sharp. Don't be late. VH Ethan read it twice. Victoria Hale didn't send emails like this unless something was genuinely on fire. And if the Riverside project collapsed, heads would roll. His would probably be first. Last hired, first fired. The mathematics of survival. "You working on Riverside?" Marcus asked. "Supporting role. Structural concepts, mostly." Ethan minimized the email. "I've got some drafts, but nothing presentation ready." "Better get them ready." Marcus clapped his shoulder. "Victoria's in a mood lately. Haven't you noticed?" Ethan hadn't noticed. Or rather, he'd trained himself not to notice anything about Victoria Hale beyond the professional necessities. She was his boss. She was brilliant. She was beautiful in that severe, untouchable way that women in power had to be. And she was so far outside his reality that paying attention felt like staring at the sun. "I'll be ready," he said. Marcus drifted away, and Ethan opened his Riverside files. The project was a mixed-use development on the Chicago River, residential towers, retail space, public parks. Beautiful concept, technically ambitious, and apparently falling apart. He lost himself in the work, the way he always did. Architecture had been his salvation after Sarah died. His wife, not the receptionist. His Sarah, Lily's mother. Cervical cancer, stage 4, gone in 8 months. 3 years ago now, but some mornings Ethan still reached for her in bed before remembering the emptiness. Work helped. Numbers and angles and load-bearing calculations didn't ask him how he was holding up or whether Lily was adjusting okay. They just were, clean and solvable. "Mr. Cole," The voice came from behind him, smooth, professional, with an edge that could cut glass. Ethan turned and found himself looking at Victoria Hale. She stood 5'9" in heels that added another 3 inches, wearing a charcoal suit that probably cost more than his car payment. Her dark hair was pulled back in a style that suggested severity and control. Her eyes, gray like winter clouds, locked onto his with an intensity that made his breath catch. "Ms. Hale." He stood automatically, aware that everyone within 20 feet had suddenly found reasons to look busy. "Walk with me." It wasn't a request. Ethan grabbed a notebook and fell into step beside her as she moved toward the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Chicago skyline. She didn't speak immediately, just stood there watching the city wake up. Cabs and buses threading through morning traffic, Lake Michigan stretching gray and endless beyond the towers. "How's Lily?" Victoria asked. The question caught him off guard. "She's good. Great. She got an A on her book report." "The one about the girl who saves the magical forest?" Ethan stared. "You remember that? You mentioned it last month during the Henderson pitch. You said she'd been working on it all week." Victoria's eyes remained on the skyline. "Did she choose the topic herself?" "Yeah, she loves anything with magic and animals." He had no idea where this was going. "She's reading above grade level, isn't she?" "Second grade books, yeah. Her teacher says she's gifted." Pride crept into his voice before he could stop it. Victoria smiled, barely, just a ghost of warmth at the corner of her mouth. "Of course she is. She's your daughter." The comment hung in the air between them, strange and weighted. Before Ethan could respond, Victoria turned to face him fully. "The Riverside project is in trouble," she said. "The clients think our structural integration is too ambitious. They're worried about cost overruns and engineering feasibility." "I saw the email." "I'm reorganizing the team. I want you leading the structural revision." Ethan's mind went blank. "Leading? You have the best instincts for practical engineering in this office. Your Henderson modification saved us $500,000 in construction costs." She crossed her arms. "I need someone who thinks like a builder, not just a designer." "Ms. Hale, I'm honored, but you're worried about the time commitment." Her eyes narrowed. "Because of Lily. I have to pick her up at 3:30. Mrs. Chen can't do evenings, and aftercare is expensive. I know." Victoria's expression softened in a way he'd never seen before. "What if we structured the work differently? Core team meetings from 8 to 2. You do pickup, settle Lily, then remote work from home in the evenings when needed." Ethan felt like the floor had shifted beneath him. "You'd reorganize the whole team schedule around my daughter?" "I'd reorganize it around good architecture." Victoria's voice was crisp again, professional. "Your contributions are worth the accommodation. Yes or no, Cole?" He should have said yes immediately. This was a career-making opportunity, but something in her eyes made him hesitate, something that looked almost like hope. "Yes," he said finally. "Thank you." "Don't thank me. Just save the project." She turned back to the window. "Meeting in 15 minutes. Conference room A. Bring your best ideas." She walked away before he could respond, her heels clicking against the polished floor. Ethan stood there for a long moment, aware that something had just shifted in his carefully balanced world. Marcus appeared at his elbow. "Dude, did she just promote you?" "I think so." "Do you know what people are saying about—" Marcus caught himself. "Never mind." "About what?" "Nothing. It's stupid office gossip." But Marcus's expression said it wasn't nothing at all. The conference room filled quickly. 8 architects, 2 project managers, and Victoria at the head of the table with a presentation remote in her hand. Ethan took a seat in the middle, trying to be invisible again. It didn't work. Victoria's eyes found his immediately. "Let's start with where we are," she said, clicking to bring up renderings of the Riverside project. "Beautiful design, innovative public spaces. Clients loved it 3 months ago. Now they're panicking." She clicked again. An email chain appeared on screen, and Ethan recognized the client's name, Richard Weston, a developer known for deep pockets and shallow nerves. "The cantilever section seems structurally impossible without massive cost increases. Our engineers are concerned. We need alternatives or we walk." We have 48 hours to give them those alternatives, Victoria said. Ethan Cole is now structural lead. He'll be coordinating directly with our engineering consultants. Every head in the room turned toward him. Ethan felt his face heat. Cole, what's your initial assessment? Victoria's tone was neutral, but her eyes were steady on his. He cleared his throat. The cantilever sections are ambitious, but not impossible. The client's engineers are probably working with conventional models. If we shift to a post-tension cable system with strategic core placement, we reduce the load requirements by 30%. Silence. Then Marcus. That could actually work. It's also cheaper, Ethan continued, gaining confidence. Cable systems are faster to install than traditional steel reinforcement. We might even bring the project in under budget. Victoria leaned forward. Show me. For the next hour, Ethan sketched concepts on the whiteboard while the team peppered him with questions. It felt like conducting an orchestra, everyone contributing their expertise while he held the structural vision together. By the time they broke, he had 3 viable approaches and a team that actually seemed excited. As people filed out, Victoria remained seated. That was impressive, she said quietly. I got lucky. Right idea at the right time. Luck is what unprepared people call preparation. She stood, gathering her materials. I meant what I said about the schedule. Family comes first. Most bosses don't think that way. I'm not most bosses. She paused at the door. Lily's bus gets in at 3:40, right? Washington Elementary? Ethan frowned. How do you know that? You mentioned it. During the hiring interview, actually. You said you needed flexibility because your daughter's school schedule was non-negotiable. Victoria's expression was unreadable. I hired you anyway. Why? Because good parents make good architects. They understand that structure serves life, not the other way around. She opened the door. Go pick up your daughter, Cole. I'll email you the client talking points tonight. She left before he could process the strange intimacy of the conversation. What? Lily exploded out of the school doors at 3:42 p.m., her backpack bouncing, her dark curls escaping from their ponytail. She crashed into Ethan's legs with the force of a small meteor. Daddy, guess what? We saw a caterpillar at recess and Mrs. Williams said it's going to be a monarch butterfly. And can we get a butterfly kit, please? Hannah's mom got her one and she gets to watch them transform and it's like magic, but real magic, not pretend magic. Ethan scooped her up, his heart settling into its regular rhythm for the first time all day. This was what mattered. Not projects or promotions or confusing conversations with beautiful bosses. We can talk about the butterfly kit, he said, setting her down and taking her hand. How was school? Good. I got a smiley face on my math worksheet, and Tommy said my drawing of a dragon was scary in a good way. She skipped beside him toward the car. What did you do today? Work stuff. Got put in charge of a big project. Like building in charge? Sort of, yeah. Is your boss nice? Ethan hesitated. Yeah, she's nice. Good. You should only work for nice people. Lily's 6-year-old wisdom was delivered with complete certainty. Can we have mac and cheese for dinner? We had mac and cheese yesterday. Mac and cheese is always good, Daddy. It's science. He laughed, helping her into her booster seat. We'll see. As they drove home through Chicago traffic, Lily chattered about caterpillars and butterflies and the complex social dynamics of first grade. Ethan listened with half his attention while the other half circled back to Victoria's strange questions. How's Lily? Did she choose the topic herself? She's reading above grade level, isn't she? His boss had no reason to know those details, no reason to care. Yet she'd remembered his daughter's book report from a passing comment made weeks ago. She'd restructured an entire team schedule around his pickup time. She'd promoted him knowing it would complicate her project timeline. None of it made professional sense. All of it made a different kind of sense entirely. Daddy, you're quiet. Lily's voice pulled him back. Just thinking about work, baby. Is it hard? A little bit, yeah. You're good at hard things. She said it like absolute fact. You take care of me and that's the hardest thing ever. Ethan's throat tightened. You make it easy, Lil. Liar. But she was grinning. Can I help with your work? How would you help? I could draw pictures of buildings. with flowers and butterflies on them? That actually sounds perfect. That night after mac and cheese, he'd surrendered, and bath time in 3 stories, Ethan settled at his laptop while Lily colored architectural butterflies at the kitchen table. His phone buzzed with an email from Victoria. Cole, client call scheduled for Friday 2 p.m. Attached are their main concerns. I need your structural revisions by Thursday EOD so I can integrate them into the presentation. Let me know if you need additional resources. Also, tell Lily her butterfly idea isn't scientifically impossible. There's an architectural firm in Singapore that designed a building with a living butterfly habitat integrated into the structure. Dreams can be blueprints. VH. Ethan read the last paragraph 3 times. Daddy? Lily was watching him. You look funny. I'm okay, just surprised. Good surprised or bad surprised? I don't know yet, baby. But that was a lie. He knew exactly what kind of surprised he was. The dangerous kind. The kind that made him notice things he'd been carefully not noticing for 6 months. Like the way Victoria's voice softened when she asked about Lily. Like how she'd restructured his entire work life around his daughter without being asked. Like the fact that she'd sent him information about architectural butterflies at 9:30 p.m. when she could have been doing literally anything else. Ethan closed his laptop and focused on his daughter's drawing, a purple building with orange wings. That's beautiful, Lil. It's for you, for your project. It's perfect. He taped it to the refrigerator next to her school artwork and tried not to think about gray eyes and rare smiles and the way his boss had looked at him when she said, "Good parents make good architects." Tried and failed. Thursday arrived with the pressure of a deadline and the weight of something unspoken. Ethan had worked until 2 a.m. perfecting his structural revisions, then woke at 6 to Lily jumping on his bed demanding pancakes. "It's Thursday," she announced. "Thursday is pancake day." "Since when?" "Since now, I decided." He made pancakes. At the office, he uploaded his final files to the project server and sent Victoria a notification email. Professional. Brief. No mention of butterflies. Her response came 15 minutes later. "Excellent work. These are exactly what we need. Meet me at noon. I'm buying lunch. We need to discuss the presentation strategy." Ethan stared at the message. Lunch. With his boss. Who was, he was becoming increasingly certain, doing something that went well beyond professional courtesy. At noon, he found her waiting in the lobby wearing a different suit, navy this time, and an expression that was almost nervous. "There's a place 2 blocks away," she said, "unless you have preferences." "Anywhere's fine." They walked in silence through downtown Chicago, navigating clusters of office workers and tourists. Victoria kept her hands in her coat pockets, her posture straight, her attention seemingly fixed on the sidewalk ahead. "You work too hard," she said finally. "That's ironic coming from you. I don't have a 6-year-old depending on me." "No family at all?" The question slipped out before he could stop it. Victoria's expression tightened. "No. No family." "I'm sorry, I didn't mean—" "Don't apologize." She stopped outside a small cafe with mismatched furniture and local art on the walls. "I chose this life. Career first, relationships later." Except later never came. She pulled open the door. "After you." The cafe was quiet, half full, smelling of coffee and fresh bread. They ordered at the counter, soup and sandwich for him, salad for her, and found a table by the window. "So," Victoria said, stirring sugar into her coffee. "The presentation." "Right. The presentation. I've integrated your revisions into the main deck. The cable system solution is strong." She looked up. "But I want you there tomorrow, co-presenting." "Victoria, I can't. That's a 2-hour meeting minimum, and Lily gets out at 3:40. "I know." She set down her spoon. "The meeting is at 2. We'll be done by 3:30. I'll have a car waiting to take you straight to Washington Elementary." Ethan leaned back. "You've thought of everything." "I try to." "Why?" The question hung between them. Victoria's fingers tightened around her coffee cup. "Because you're talented," she said carefully, "and because good people shouldn't have to choose between career and family." "That's not the whole reason." Her eyes met his, and for a moment, He saw past the CEO, past the armor of expensive suits and perfectly controlled expressions. He saw loneliness, deep and old and carefully hidden. "No," she admitted quietly. "It's not." Their food arrived before Ethan could respond. They ate in silence for a while, the conversation redirecting to safe topics, the presentation, client concerns, technical details. But something had shifted. Some line had been acknowledged, even if not crossed. "Can I ask you something personal?" Ethan said as they were leaving. "You can ask." "Why architecture? What made you want to build things?" Victoria smiled, genuinely this time, with warmth that transformed her face. "My father was a carpenter. Not fancy, just practical work. Houses, decks, repairs. He used to take me to job sites when I was little." She looked up at the buildings around them. "He'd show me how everything fit together, how structure served purpose, how good design made life better." The smile faded. "He died when I was 12. Heart attack on a roof in July." "Jesus, I'm sorry." "I built my first building for him. Well, designed it. College project. A community center with a workshop space for kids to learn trades." She started walking again. "He would have hated how expensive I've become." "I think he'd be proud you remembered what mattered." Victoria looked at him sharply. "You don't know that." "No, but I know what I'd want Lily to remember if something happened to me." They walked back to the office without speaking, but the silence felt different now, comfortable, heavy with things unsaid but understood. At the lobby, Victoria turned to him. "Thank you for lunch," she said. "You paid." "For the company, then." She hesitated. "Ethan?" "Ms. Hale?" The receptionist's voice cut through the moment. "The board is waiting for you in conference room C." Victoria's professional mask snapped back into place. "Right, thank you." She looked at Ethan one more time. "Tomorrow at 2. Don't be late." "I won't." He watched her walk to the elevators, straight-backed and alone, and felt something twist in his chest that had nothing to do with projects or deadlines. Friday morning arrived with rain. Ethan dressed Lily in her raincoat and boots, packed her lunch, and tried to ignore the knot in his stomach. "You look nervous, Daddy," Lily observed over breakfast. "Big meeting at work today." "Will you be good at it?" "I hope so." "You will be. You're good at everything." She bit into her toast. "Except making ponytails. You're bad at ponytails." He laughed despite himself. "Thanks for the honesty." "Mrs. Chen says honesty is important." Mrs. Chen is right. At the office, the energy was tense. The Riverside presentation was at 2, and everyone knew the stakes. Marcus caught Ethan by the coffee maker. "You ready for this?" he asked. "Ready as I'll ever be." "Victoria seems confident." "She's good at seeming things." Marcus lowered his voice. "People are talking, man." "About what?" "About you, about her, about the way she looks at you when she thinks no one's watching." Ethan's hand tightened on his coffee cup. "There's nothing. I didn't say there was, but everyone's noticed the special treatment, the schedule changes, the promotion." Marcus shrugged. "Just be careful. Office relationships are complicated." "There's no relationship." "Maybe not yet." The words followed Ethan to his desk, settling in his mind like stones. Was it that obvious? Had everyone seen what he'd been trying to ignore? At 1:45, Victoria appeared at his desk. "Ready?" He grabbed his laptop. "Let's do this." The conference room was set up with a large screen, a polished table, and enough nervous energy to power the building. The client, Richard Weston and his team of engineers, arrived at exactly 2 o'clock. Victoria commanded the room immediately. "Thank you for meeting with us," she began, her voice steady and confident. "We've heard your concerns about the Riverside project, and we've developed solutions that address both structural feasibility and cost efficiency." She clicked through the presentation with practiced precision, laying out the vision, acknowledging the problems, building toward the solution. When she got to the structural revisions, she looked at Ethan. "Ethan Cole is our structural lead. He'll walk you through the engineering modifications." Ethan stood, aware of every eye on him, and started talking. He explained the cable system, the load redistribution, the cost savings. He showed renderings and calculations and real-world examples of similar solutions. He answered questions about seismic loads and wind stress and construction timelines, and somewhere in the middle of it, he stopped being nervous. Because this was what he was good at, making complex things simple, making dreams buildable. When he finished, the room was quiet. Then Richard Weston smiled. "This is exactly what we needed," he said. "How fast can you implement it?" Victoria didn't miss a beat. 4 weeks for final engineering drawings. Another 6 weeks to bid out to contractors. We can break ground by spring. Do it. The meeting lasted another 30 minutes, but the war was won. As Weston's team filed out, shaking hands and exchanging business cards, Victoria caught Ethan's eye. "Car's waiting downstairs," she said quietly. "Go get your daughter." He made it to Washington Elementary at 3:38 p.m. Lily bounded out of school with her usual explosion of energy, but stopped when she saw the black town car idling at the curb. "Daddy, are we rich?" "No, baby. My boss sent the car so I wouldn't be late." "Your boss is nice." "Yeah," Ethan said, buckling her in. "She really is." That night, after Lily was asleep, Ethan's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "We won. Client signed the contract. This is Victoria, BTOBO. Got your number from HR." "Hope that's not weird." He stared at the message, his heart doing something complicated. "Not weird. Congratulations. We make a good team." The response came immediately. "Yes, we do." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, "Would you like to get coffee tomorrow?" "Not work coffee, just coffee." Ethan sat in his darkened living room, rain pattering against the windows, and thought about gray eyes and rare smiles and the way Victoria's voice had sounded when she said, "No family at all." He thought about his daughter sleeping down the hall, about the life he'd carefully rebuilt after Sarah died, about all the reasons this was complicated and dangerous and probably a terrible idea. Then he typed, "Tomorrow's Saturday. Lily usually comes with me for coffee. Is that okay?" The response took longer this time. "I'd like that. Very much. Good. There's a place near Lincoln Park with butterflies painted on the windows. Lily will love it. Send me the address. I'll see you both tomorrow." 10 a.m.? Perfect. Ethan set down his phone and stared at the ceiling, feeling the fault line in his carefully ordered life crack a little wider. Somewhere in the dark, rain-soaked city, Victoria Hale was probably staring at her own ceiling, feeling the same thing. Neither of them knew it yet, but the ground was already shifting. And when it finally gave way, everything would change. Saturday morning arrived with unexpected sunshine, the kind that made Chicago feel almost forgiving after days of rain. Ethan woke to Lily jumping on his bed at 7:30, which was late for her, and felt the flutter of nerves he'd been suppressing since last night's text exchange. "Daddy, you said we're getting coffee today." Lily bounced with each word. "Can I get hot chocolate? With extra marshmallows?" "We'll see what they have." He caught her mid-bounce and pulled her into a hug. "We're meeting someone, though, my boss from work." Lily pulled back, studying his face with the unsettling perception 6-year-olds sometimes possessed. "The nice one who sent the car?" "Yeah, her." "Is she your friend?" The question was innocent, but it landed with weight. "I think maybe she's becoming one." "Good. You need more friends." Lily wiggled free and jumped off the bed. "I'm wearing my butterfly dress." "It's 40 degrees outside." "With leggings and my purple jacket." She was already running toward her room, the matter settled in her mind. Ethan lay back against his pillows and stared at the ceiling, wondering what the hell he was doing. Coffee with his boss. And his daughter. On a Saturday. This wasn't professional networking. This was something else entirely. Something that made his chest tight and his thoughts scattered. He thought about Sarah, about the way she used to tease him for overthinking everything. "Just live, Ethan," she'd say. "Stop calculating every angle and just live." "Okay," he whispered to the empty room. "I'm trying." By 9:30 they were in the car, Lily chattering about butterflies and hot chocolate, while Ethan navigated toward Lincoln Park. The cafe, Luna's, was tucked between a bookstore and a vintage clothing shop, its windows hand-painted with monarchs and swallowtails that seemed to flutter in the morning light. Victoria was already there. She stood outside the cafe wearing jeans and a cream-colored sweater, her hair down for the first time since Ethan had known her. Without the armor of her work clothes, she looked younger, almost vulnerable. When she saw his car pull up, something crossed her face. Relief, maybe, or nervousness. "That's her?" Lily pressed her face against the window. "That's her. She's pretty, like a princess, but not a fancy princess. A smart princess." Ethan couldn't help but smile. "That's a good description." He parked and helped Lily out of her booster seat. She immediately grabbed his hand, suddenly shy, which was unusual for his normally fearless daughter. Victoria walked toward them, and Ethan noticed she was holding something, a small wrapped package with a butterfly sticker on top. "Hi," she said, and her voice was different too, softer, less controlled. "Hi." Ethan felt awkward, uncertain of the protocol for this situation. "Victoria, this is Lily. Lily, this is Ms. Hale." "You can call me Victoria," she said, kneeling down to Lily's eye level. "Your dad talks about you all the time." Lily's shyness evaporated. "He does?" "Constantly. He told me you're reading second-grade books and that you got an A on your forest story." Victoria held out the package. "I thought you might like this." Lily looked at Ethan for permission. He nodded, and she took the gift, carefully peeling away the wrapping paper. Inside was a hardcover book, The Butterfly Alphabet by Shel Sandved, each letter formed by patterns on real butterfly wings. "Oh," Lily breathed. "It's beautiful." "It's science and art together," Victoria said. "I thought you might appreciate that combination." Lily clutched the book to her chest and then, without warning, hugged Victoria around the neck. "Thank you. Can we look at it with our hot chocolate?" Victoria's eyes went wide, her arms hovering uncertainly before settling around Lily's small frame. "Of course we can." When Lily pulled back and ran toward the cafe entrance, Victoria stood slowly, and Ethan saw something raw in her expression. Surprise and longing, and something close to pain. "You didn't have to do that," he said quietly. "I wanted to." She watched Lily press her face against the cafe window, looking at the pastries. "I saw it in a bookstore downtown and thought of her." "Is that okay?" "It's more than okay, but Victoria, I know." She finally looked at him. "I know this is complicated. I know I'm your boss and this probably crosses a dozen HR policies, but I wanted to meet her, to see the person who makes you smile when you talk about caterpillars and book reports." She wrapped her arms around herself. "If this is too much, if I've overstepped, you haven't." The words came out with more certainty than Ethan felt. "But we should probably talk about what this is." "After coffee," Victoria said. "Let's just, have coffee first. Like normal people." Are we normal people?" She smiled, and it transformed her whole face. "Probably not, but we can pretend for an hour." Inside Luna's, they ordered at the counter, dark roast for him, cappuccino for her, hot chocolate with extra marshmallows for Lily, who was already paging through her butterfly book at a corner table. "The letter M is made from an owl butterfly," Lily announced as they sat down. "Did you know there are butterflies that look like owls?" "I didn't," Victoria said, leaning in to look at the page. "Why do you think they evolved that pattern?" "To scare predators. If you look like something scary, nothing wants to eat you." "That's very smart evolution." Victoria glanced at Ethan. "She really is gifted, isn't she?" "She gets it from her mom." The words came automatically, followed by a moment of awkward silence, but Victoria didn't flinch. "Sarah was an architect too, wasn't she?" Ethan blinked. "How did you know that?" "Your portfolio. During your interview, you showed me a residential project with her name in the credits. Sarah Chen Cole." Victoria's voice was gentle. "I looked her up. Her work was beautiful, residential designs that felt like homes, not showpieces. That was her philosophy. Architecture should serve the people living in it, not the other way around." Ethan took a sip of coffee, surprised by how much he wanted to talk about this. "She would have liked you." "Why?" "Because you think the same way. Structure serving life." He watched Lily turn pages, completely absorbed. The schedule changes, the family-first approach. Sarah always said those were the marks of a good boss. Victoria was quiet for a moment, tracing the rim of her cup. I lost my mother when I was 26, she said finally. Stroke. Sudden. She was there, and then she wasn't. She looked up. Everyone says time makes it easier, but that's not quite right, is it? Time just makes it different. Different, Ethan agreed. Yeah. How long has it been? 3 years? Some days it feels like yesterday. Some days it feels like a lifetime ago. And you've been doing this alone the whole time? Raising Lily, building your career? I had help. Mrs. Chen, my neighbor. She's been amazing. Sarah's parents visit from Seattle every few months. But yeah, mostly alone. He watched Lily draw a butterfly on her napkin. You make it work because you have to. You make it look easy. It's not. I'm constantly terrified I'm screwing her up somehow, missing something important, not being enough. Victoria reached across the table and touched his hand, just briefly, just enough for him to feel the warmth of her skin. You're more than enough. Anyone can see that. The moment stretched between them, loaded with possibility, until Lily looked up from her book. Victoria, do you have kids? The question was innocent, but Victoria's expression flickered. No, I don't. Why not? Lily, Ethan said quickly. That's personal. It's okay. Victoria smiled at Lily. I guess I focused so much on work that I never made time for a family. Sometimes adults make choices and then realize later they might want to choose differently. You could have kids now, Lily said with 6-year-old certainty. My friend Emma's mom had a baby last year and she's really old, like 40. Ethan choked on his coffee. Lily! What? Mrs. Chen said 40 is old for babies. Victoria was laughing, really laughing, the kind that shook her shoulders and brought tears to her eyes. I'm 38, so I guess I'm almost too old by Mrs. Chen's standards. You don't look 38, Lily said seriously. You look like a princess, a smart one. That's the second time I've been called a smart princess today. Victoria was still smiling. I think I like it. They spent the next hour like that, easy conversation flowing around butterfly facts and architecture stories and Lily's detailed explanation of first-grade social dynamics. Victoria listened to everything Lily said with genuine attention, asking questions and laughing at the right moments. Ethan watched them together and felt something shift in his chest, something that felt dangerously close to hope. When Lily excused herself to use the bathroom, Victoria turned to him with an expression he couldn't quite read. She's extraordinary, Victoria said. I'm biased, but yeah, I think so too. You've done an amazing job with her, Ethan, single parent or not. She's happy and confident and kind. That's all you? And Sarah? She's got her mom's curiosity, her warmth. But your stability, your dedication. Victoria hesitated. Can I ask you something? Sure. Do you ever get lonely? The question caught him off guard. That's direct. I'm told I can be. She wasn't apologizing. Do you? Ethan thought about his answer, watching other cafe patrons laugh and talk around them. Yeah, he admitted. Sometimes late at night after Lily's asleep and the apartment is quiet. I'll see couples walking together outside, or I'll remember what it felt like to share everything with someone, and the loneliness is... He stopped. Physical. Like an ache. Victoria nodded slowly. I feel it in the mornings. I wake up and the bed is so empty it echoes. Is that why you work so much? Probably. Buildings don't leave. Projects don't realize they want something different. She traced patterns on the table. I've had relationships, a few that even seemed serious. But I was always more invested in my career than in them, and eventually they'd figure that out and leave. After a while, I stopped trying. Until I met someone who understood that work isn't just ambition. Sometimes it's survival. Her eyes met his. Someone who showed up every day and did impossible things because his daughter needed him to. Someone who chose family over everything and never apologized for it. Ethan's heart was hammering. Victoria, I know this is complicated, she continued. I know all the reasons this is a terrible idea. You work for me. Office relationships are messy. You have a daughter to think about. I have a board to answer to. She leaned forward. But I haven't been able to stop thinking about you for 6 months, Ethan. Every time you talk about Lily, every time you solve an impossible problem, every time you choose her over a deadline, I see someone I want to know, really know, not as your boss, as whatever this could be. The confession hung in the air between them, raw and honest. Ethan felt like he was standing on the edge of something vast and terrifying. I think about you too, he admitted. More than I should. More than is probably smart. But I have to be careful. Lily's been through enough loss. If this goes wrong, if it affects my job or makes things awkward, I would never let that happen. Whatever happens between us, your position is secure. Your schedule is protected. Lily comes first. Victoria's voice was fierce. Always. You can't promise that. Watch me. Lily returned from the bathroom, clutching her butterfly book and chattering about the hand dryer being too loud. The conversation shifted back to safe topics, but something had been said. Something had been acknowledged. They left the cafe together, stepping out into sunshine that felt too bright after the dim intimacy inside. Lily ran ahead to look at the bookstore window, and Victoria touched Ethan's arm. Thank you for this, she said, for letting me into your Saturday. Thank you for the book, for caring about her. It's easy to care about her. She's remarkable. Victoria's smile was soft. Like her father. Before Ethan could respond, Lily called out, Daddy, they have a book about dragons. Can we look? Go ahead, he called back. Stay where I can see you. Lily disappeared into the bookstore, and Ethan turned back to Victoria. What happens now? I don't know, she admitted. I've never done this before. The whole relationship thing, while navigating power dynamics and professional boundaries. Neither have I. Well, the power dynamics part. The last relationship I had was with Sarah, and we were equals from the start. Do you want to try? To see if this could be something? Victoria's vulnerability was startling. I know it's complicated. I know I'm probably not good at this. I work too much, and I'm controlling, and I don't know anything about being a parent or being part of a family. But I want to try. With you, if you'll let me. Ethan thought about all the ways this could go wrong. The office gossip, the potential conflicts, the risk to his career and his daughter's stability. He thought about Marcus's warning and HR policies and the careful walls he'd built around his life after Sarah died. Then he thought about gray eyes and rare smiles and the way Victoria had looked holding Lily's book like it was precious. Okay, he said, let's try. Victoria's smile was blinding. Yeah? Yeah, but we take it slow and Lily's needs come first, always. Agreed. She hesitated, then stood on her toes and kissed his cheek, quick and soft. I should go. I have some project reviews to catch up on. It's Saturday. I'm aware. Old habits. She was already backing away, still smiling. Text me later? I will. He watched her walk to her car, a sleek gray sedan that probably cost more than his annual salary, and drive away. Then Lily emerged from the bookstore holding a dragon encyclopedia. Can I get this book too? She asked. Not today, baby, but maybe for your birthday. Did Victoria leave? Yeah, she had to get back to work. Lily tucked her butterfly book under her arm and took his hand. I like her, Daddy. She listens when I talk. I noticed that. Are you going to be friends with her? I think so, yeah. Good. Lily swung their joined hands as they walked toward the car. You smile more when she's around. I do? The real smile, not the pretend one. Ethan stopped walking and knelt down to look at his daughter. Have I been using a pretend smile? Sometimes. When you're tired or sad but trying to be happy for me. Lily touched his face. The real smile makes your eyes crinkle. Like now. He pulled her into a hug, this small human who saw everything. You're too smart, you know that? Mrs. Chen says I get it from you. Mrs. Chen is very generous. They spent the rest of the afternoon at the park, Lily running and climbing while Ethan pushed her on the swings and thought about Victoria's confession, about the way she'd looked at Lily, about the possibility of something he'd thought was closed to him forever. That night, after dinner and bath time and stories, Ethan's phone buzzed with a text. Thank you for today. I can't remember the last time I laughed that much. Lily is wonderful. You're wonderful. I'm trying not to overthink this, but failing miserably. V. He smiled and typed back. Overthinking is my specialty. We can fail at it together. Today was good. Really good. Can I see you again? Not coffee, maybe dinner. I know you need a sitter, so maybe Friday after work. I'll make a reservation somewhere nice, but not too nice. Somewhere we can actually talk. Ethan thought about Mrs. Chen, who would happily watch Lily for an evening. About stepping back into dating after 3 years. About all the ways vulnerability felt like free-falling. Friday works. Pick me up at 7? It's a date. An actual date. I should probably be cooler about this, but I'm not. I'm excited and terrified. Me too. Both of those things. Those. Good. I'd hate to be terrified alone. Sleep well, Ethan. You too, Victoria. He set down his phone and stared at the ceiling, feeling the ground shift a little more beneath him. Somewhere across the city, Victoria was probably doing the same thing. Neither of them could have known that everything was about to get much more complicated. The next week at the office felt different. Victoria maintained her professional demeanor during meetings and work hours, but there were small changes. A smile when their eyes met across the conference room. An extra moment of conversation when she stopped by his desk. A text late Monday night asking how Lily's science project was going. The other architects noticed. Of course they noticed. So you and Victoria, Marcus said Wednesday at lunch, his tone carefully neutral. What about us? Come on, man. Everyone sees it. The way she looks at you. The way you look at her when you think no one's watching. Ethan set down his sandwich. We went for coffee on Saturday. With my daughter. As friends. Friends? Marcus didn't sound convinced. Look, I'm not judging. She's amazing and you deserve happiness. But office romances are tricky, especially when one person is the CEO. Nothing's happening. We're just getting to know each other. Yet. Marcus leaned forward. Just be careful, okay? Victoria's got enemies on the board. People who think she's too soft, too accommodating. If they see her showing favoritism to someone she's dating, they'll use it against her, against both of you. The warning sat heavy in Ethan's chest for the rest of the day. He'd been so focused on his own concerns, protecting Lily, maintaining boundaries, that he hadn't considered the political implications for Victoria. She'd worked decades to build her position. One wrong move could undermine everything. Thursday afternoon, Victoria called him into her office. When he arrived, she was standing at the window overlooking the city, her shoulders tense. Close the door, she said. Ethan did, his stomach tightening. What's wrong? The board meeting is tomorrow. They're pushing me to take on a new development project in Austin. Huge scope, 18-month timeline, would require me to be on site for weeks at a time. She turned to face him. I was going to say no. Was? Before Saturday, I would have said yes without hesitation. Career first, always. But now, she crossed her arms. Now I'm thinking about Friday dinner and text messages about science projects and what it might feel like to have something besides work in my life. Victoria, you can't make career decisions based on one coffee date. Why not? You make career decisions based on Lily's schedule all the time. That's different. She's my daughter. And you're someone I care about. Someone I might be falling for. Victoria's voice was raw. God, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to want something this much and be this terrified of it at the same time. Ethan crossed to her, drawn by the vulnerability in her eyes. What do you want? Really want? I want dinner on Friday. I want more Saturdays with you and Lily. I want to see where this goes without being afraid of the board or office politics or messing everything up. She looked at him directly. I want you, Ethan, however complicated that is. He should have been careful, should have thought about consequences and timelines and all the rational reasons to slow down. Instead, he reached for her hand. Then take the Austin project, he said. Build your career. I'll still be here when you get back. That's not what I want? What do you want? Balance. The thing I've never let myself have. She squeezed his hand. I want to tell the board I'll manage the Austin project remotely. I want to mentor our junior architects to handle on-site supervision. I want to build something here that matters more than another development deal. Are you sure? No, but I'm sure about wanting to try. She smiled, fragile and hopeful. Is that enough? It's everything. They stood there by the window, holding hands while the city sprawled below them, and Ethan felt the last of his carefully maintained walls begin to crack. This was dangerous and complicated, and probably a disaster waiting to happen. But for the first time in 3 years, he felt genuinely alive. Friday at 7, Victoria said softly. I'll pick you up. I'll be ready. She squeezed his hand once more and let go, stepping back into professional distance as footsteps approached her office door. By the time her assistant knocked, they were on opposite sides of the room, discussing project timelines like any boss and employee. But something had shifted, something irrevocable. Friday arrived with Ethan's nerves strung tight. He'd arranged for Mrs. Chen to watch Lily overnight, just in case, and spent far too long deciding what to wear. The navy shirt? Too formal. The gray sweater? Too casual. Eventually he settled on dark jeans and a black button-down, hoping it struck the right balance between effort and effortless. You look handsome, Daddy, Lily announced from his bedroom doorway. Like a prince. Thanks, baby. He ran his hands through his hair one more time. You sure you're okay staying with Mrs. Chen tonight? I'm not a baby. I'm 6 3/4. Lily rolled her eyes. Besides, Mrs. Chen lets me stay up late and we watch cooking shows. Don't tell her I know that. Are you going on a date with Victoria? Ethan froze. What makes you think that? Because you're nervous and you keep checking your phone and you smell like that cologne you only wear for special things. She grinned. I'm very observant. You're terrifying is what you are. He knelt down and pulled her into a hug. Yes, I'm going to dinner with Victoria. Is that okay with you? Lily pulled back and studied his face seriously. Do you like her? Like her? I think I might, yeah. Good. She needs someone to like her. She seems lonely. The observation was so accurate it made Ethan's chest ache. How did you get so wise? I watch a lot of TV. He laughed and stood. Come on, let's get you to Mrs. Chen's before Victoria gets here. They were halfway out the door when his phone buzzed. Victoria, texting that she was 10 minutes away. Ethan's stomach did a complicated flip. Mrs. Chen welcomed Lily with warm arms and knowing eyes. You have a good time tonight, she told Ethan in her lightly accented English. You deserve happiness. It's just dinner. Her smile said she knew better. Just dinner with a beautiful woman who looks at you like you hung the moon. Go. Enjoy. Don't rush back. Ethan made it back to his apartment with 5 minutes to spare. He paced the living room, straightened cushions that didn't need straightening, and checked his reflection 3 more times before headlights swept across his window. Victoria's sedan pulled up to the curb, and Ethan grabbed his jacket and headed downstairs before he could overthink it anymore. When he opened the passenger door, his breath caught. She wore a dark green dress that somehow managed to be elegant and understated simultaneously, her hair falling in soft waves around her shoulders. Without the armor of her work clothes, she looked almost ethereal. Hi, she said, and her voice was nervous. Hi, you look incredible. You clean up pretty well yourself. She was gripping the steering wheel too tight. I'm really nervous. Me too. Okay, good. Let's be nervous together. She put the car in drive. I made reservations at Avic. Small plates, good wine, casual enough that we can actually relax. Does that work? Sounds perfect. They drove through evening traffic, the conversation stilted at first, but gradually finding its rhythm. Victoria asked about Lily's week, and Ethan found himself telling stories about science projects and playground drama. She listened with genuine interest, asking follow-up questions, laughing at the funny parts. You really love being a dad, she observed. Best thing I've ever done. Hardest, but best. Do you ever resent it? The sacrifice? The responsibility? Never. Not even on the hard days. He looked at her profile, illuminated by passing streetlights. Do you regret not having kids? Victoria was quiet for a long moment. I don't know if regret is the right word. I made choices that seemed right at the time. Career first, relationships later, but lately, she paused. Lately, I wonder what I might have missed. It's not too late. I'm 38 and single and married to my work. Not exactly ideal parenting circumstances. My wife died when Lily was 3. I had no idea what I was doing. Still don't, most days. Ethan reached over and touched her hand on the steering wheel. If you want it, you find a way. That's what people who really want things do. Her fingers curled around his briefly before she needed both hands for a turn. What if I'm not good at it? At the whole family thing? Nobody's good at it. You just love them and show up and try not to screw up too badly. That's your parenting philosophy? It's gotten me this far. She laughed, and the tension in the car eased. By the time they reached the restaurant, they were talking like old friends, the nervousness melting into something warmer and more comfortable. Avec was perfect. Dim lighting, intimate tables, the hum of conversation creating a cocoon of privacy. They ordered wine in small plates, sharing tastes and trading stories. Victoria talked about her early days in architecture, fighting for respect in a male-dominated field. Ethan shared memories of Sarah, and Victoria listened without jealousy or discomfort. She sounds remarkable, Victoria said, reaching for another piece of bread. She was. I wish you could have met her. I wish I could have too. Victoria's eyes were steady on his. But I'm glad I get to know you. The person she loved, the father she'd be proud of. You think she'd approve? Of this? I think she'd want you to be happy, and I think... Victoria hesitated. I think she'd trust me to take care of you and Lily. I hope she would. The words hit Ethan square in the chest. This woman, who barely knew him, was already thinking about his daughter's well-being, already considering what it meant to step into their lives. She would, he said. I know she would. The dinner stretched into hours, conversation flowing around architecture and loss and hope and the terrifying possibility of building something new. By the time they left the restaurant, Ethan felt like he'd known Victoria for years instead of months. She drove him home slowly, neither of them wanting the night to end. When she pulled up to his building, she turned to face him. Can I ask you something? She said. Anything. If this works, if we work, what does that look like to you? Do you want something casual, or are you looking for... She stopped. I don't know how to ask this without sounding presumptuous. Are you asking if I'm looking for something serious? I guess I am. Ethan thought about his answer, watching her nervous expression. I have a 6-year-old daughter who gets attached easily. I can't do casual, can't introduce people into her life who might not stay. He reached for her hand. So if we do this, I need to know you're in it, really in it, not just until it gets hard or inconvenient. I'm in it, Victoria said immediately. I'm terrified, and I'll probably mess up a lot, but I'm in it. I want this, Ethan. You and Lily, whatever that looks like. Even though it's complicated? Because it's complicated. Easy things don't scare me. You scare me, in the best possible way. He leaned across the console and kissed her, soft and tentative, a question more than a statement. She kissed him back, her hand coming up to cup his face, and for a moment the whole world narrowed to just this. Her lips, her warmth, the taste of wine and possibility. When they pulled apart, Victoria was smiling. Wow. Yeah, wow. Can I see you tomorrow? You and Lily? Maybe we could go to the aquarium or something. Something fun and pressure-free. She'd love that. So would I. Good. Victoria kissed him again, quick and sweet. Text me when you're ready. I'll pick you both up. Ethan climbed out of the car feeling lighter than he had in years. He watched her drive away, then headed upstairs to his empty apartment and the possibility of everything changing. His phone buzzed with a text. Thank you for tonight, for trusting me with this. I promise I won't let you down. V, he typed back. You already haven't. See you tomorrow. Sweet dreams. Sweet dreams, Ethan. He fell asleep that night with a smile on his face, completely unaware that on Monday morning everything would start to unravel. Sunday at the aquarium was perfect, in the way only unexpected joy could be. Lily pressed her face against the glass of the shark tank while Victoria stood beside her, pointing out different species and explaining their hunting patterns with the same precise attention she gave architectural problems. Ethan watched them together, his daughter and this woman who was quickly becoming essential, and felt something settle in his chest that had been restless for 3 years. "That one's a hammerhead," Lily shouted, bouncing on her toes. "Look at his funny head." "That funny head gives him 360-degree vision," Victoria said. "He can see everything around him at once." "I wish I had that. Then I could see when Tommy tries to steal my crayons." Victoria laughed, the sound bright and genuine, and Ethan's heart did something complicated. They spent the afternoon like that, moving from exhibit to exhibit, Lily's questions endless, Victoria's patience infinite. She bought Lily a stuffed seahorse from the gift shop without being asked, and when Lily hugged her in thanks, Victoria's eyes went suspiciously bright. In the parking lot, Lily fell asleep in her booster seat within minutes, exhausted from excitement. Victoria drove them home slowly, one hand on the wheel, the other resting in Ethan's palm. "Thank you for today," he said quietly. "She hasn't been this happy in a long time." "Neither have I." Victoria glanced at him. "Is this crazy? How fast this is moving." "Probably, but it doesn't feel crazy." "No, it feels right." She pulled up to his building and turned to look at him. "I need to tell you something." The seriousness in her tone made his stomach tighten. "Okay." "The board meeting Friday, I told them I was turning down the Austin project, recommending Marcus to lead it instead." She took a breath. "They weren't happy. Some of them think I'm getting soft, losing my edge. There's talk about bringing in a co-CEO to handle expansion projects." "Victoria, you can't sacrifice your career for—" "I'm not. I'm choosing balance. There's a difference." Her grip on his hand tightened. "But it means the next few weeks are going to be intense. I need to prove I can run this company my way, with my priorities, and still deliver results. Which means the Riverside project needs to be flawless. We need to break ground on time and under budget. We will." "There's more." She looked away. "Some board members know about us. About Friday night. Someone saw us at the restaurant." Ethan felt cold. And they're watching, looking for any sign that I'm showing favoritism or that this is affecting my judgment. She met his eyes again. "I can handle them. But Ethan, the next month is going to be brutal. Long hours, high pressure. I might not be able to do Saturday aquarium trips or Friday dinners. I need you to understand that." "I understand. Work comes first right now." "Not first, but it needs focus." Her voice was pained. "I hate that I'm already having to choose between you and my career." "You're not choosing. You're managing both. There's a difference." He squeezed her hand. "We'll get through this. 1 month of intensity to prove them wrong, then we can breathe." "You're sure?" "I'm sure. Besides, Lily and I are experts at adapting to crazy schedules." He smiled. "We've got this." Victoria leaned across the console and kissed him, soft and grateful. "I don't deserve you." "Yeah, you do. Now go home and get some rest. Monday's going to come early." He carried Lily upstairs, her seahorse clutched in her sleeping arms, and tried to ignore the worry gnawing at his gut. Board members watching them. Office politics. The pressure to prove Victoria's choices weren't undermining her effectiveness. But they could handle it. They had to. Monday morning arrived with an email marked urgent, sent from Victoria's account at 5:30 a.m. Subject line, Riverside Project, Accelerated Timeline. Ethan opened it with growing dread. The clients wanted to break ground 3 weeks early. The city had unexpectedly approved their permits ahead of schedule, and Weston wanted to capitalize on the weather window before winter truly set in, which meant every deadline just compressed by nearly a month. The team meeting at 8 was chaos barely contained. Drawings that were supposed to be finalized in 2 weeks needed to be done in days. Engineering consultations that were scheduled for next month had to happen this week. Everyone was already stretched thin, and now they were being asked to sprint. "This is doable," Victoria said, standing at the head of the conference table in her armor of a charcoal suit, her expression carved from stone. "Difficult, but doable. We work in shifts. Morning team and evening team. Cole, you're coordinating structural with the engineers. Marcus, you handle client communications. Sarah, not you, Ethan, you're on permit revisions." She went down the list, assigning tasks with military precision. When she finished, she looked around the room. "I know this is asking a lot, but this is what separates good firms from great ones. We deliver when it matters." "Questions?" Timeline for engineering sign-off? Someone asked. Friday, absolute latest. A collective groan went through the room. Friday was 4 days away. The engineering consultations alone usually took a week. I'll personally coordinate with the engineering firm, Victoria continued. But I need Cole's structural revisions by Wednesday, end of day. Can you do that? Ethan felt every eye turn to him. Wednesday was 2 days away. He'd need to work around the clock to finish the revisions, coordinate with 3 different engineering specialties, and still maintain quality control. And Lily had her school play Wednesday night, the one she'd been rehearsing for 6 weeks, the one where she played a singing butterfly. Cole? Victoria's voice was sharp. Wednesday EOD? He looked at her, saw the steel in her eyes, the board's pressure weighing on her shoulders, saw her silently begging him not to make this harder. Wednesday EOD, he heard himself say. The meeting dispersed, everyone scattering to their stations with the frantic energy of people facing an impossible deadline. Ethan returned to his desk and pulled up his calendar, trying to figure out how to make this work. If he worked until midnight tonight and tomorrow, started again at 5 a.m. both mornings, skipped lunch, he could maybe finish by Wednesday afternoon. But Wednesday night was Lily's play. At 6 p.m., 45 minutes from the office in traffic, his phone buzzed. Victoria, texting. Thank you for saying yes. I know this is hard. I'll make it up to you. He stared at the message, then typed back. Lily's play is Wednesday at 6. I need to leave by 5 at the latest. The response took longer this time. Understood. You'll have the revisions done by then? I'll make it work. Thank you. For everything. For everything. Ethan set down his phone and got to work, pushing thoughts of Victoria and board politics and impossible choices out of his mind. This was what he did. Solve problems, meet deadlines, make things work. He could do this. He had to. The next 2 days blurred into an exhausting haze of CAD drawings and engineering calculations and coffee consumed in quantities that probably weren't healthy. Ethan worked through lunch both days, stayed until 9 p.m. Monday night, came in at 5:30 Tuesday morning. His eyes burned, his back ached, but the revisions were taking shape, piece by careful piece. Victoria was everywhere and nowhere, in meetings with the board, on calls with the clients, coordinating a dozen moving parts simultaneously. When she passed Ethan's desk Tuesday afternoon, she paused just long enough to set down a coffee and a granola bar. Eat something, she said quietly. You look exhausted. I'm fine. You're not. But thank you for pushing through. She glanced around to make sure no one was watching, then added even more quietly, I miss you. We saw each other Sunday. I know, it feels like a month ago. She straightened, her professional mask sliding back into place. Keep me updated on your progress. She walked away before he could respond, and Ethan felt the distance between them like a physical thing. This was what she'd warned him about, the pressure, the intensity, the way work could consume everything. But knowing it was coming didn't make it easier. Tuesday night, he worked until 11, finally dragging himself home to find Mrs. Chen asleep on his couch and Lily already in bed. He paid Mrs. Chen, apologized profusely, and collapsed into bed still wearing his work clothes. Wednesday morning arrived too soon. Ethan was back at his desk by 6 a.m., racing to finish the final details. The structural revisions were 90% complete, close, so close. But the engineering coordination was taking longer than expected. Calculations that should have been straightforward kept revealing edge cases and complications. By noon, he was at 95%. By 3 p.m., 98%. At 4:30, his phone alarm went off, the one reminding him he needed to leave for Lily's play in 30 minutes. But the revisions weren't done. He still had 2 sections to finalize, 3 engineering sign-offs to secure. Another hour of work, maybe 90 minutes. Lily's play started at 6. Ethan stared at his computer screen, his chest tight, and felt the universe asking him to choose. His phone rang. Victoria. Cole? Status update? Her voice was clipped, stressed. Almost done. Maybe another hour. I need it by 5. The engineers are standing by for final review. Victoria, I have to leave at 5. Lily's play. I know about the play. She sounded pained. But Ethan, the clients are breathing down my neck. The board is watching every move I make. I need these revisions tonight or the whole timeline collapses. I can't miss her play. I promised her. Send what you have. I'll finish the rest. You don't know the structural systems well enough. You'll make mistakes. Then walk me through it remotely. We can video call during the play. The words hit him like a slap. You want me to work during my daughter's performance? I want you to help me save both our careers. Her voice rose, then caught. I'm sorry. That was unfair. But Ethan, I'm drowning here. The board is looking for any excuse to undermine my authority. If this project fails because of timeline issues, it won't fail. I'll finish it tonight after the play. I'll work until 3 a.m. if I have to. That's not good enough. The engineers need it now. Victoria's voice was breaking. Please, I'm asking you to choose this. To choose us. Just this once. And there it was. The impossible choice made explicit. His daughter or his career, his family, or this woman he was falling for. Everything he'd sworn to protect versus everything he was starting to hope for. No, Ethan said quietly. Silence on the other end of the line. What? I said no. I'm leaving at 5. I'll finish the revisions tonight and have them to you by midnight. If that's not fast enough, you'll have to find another solution. Ethan, I have to go. I'm sorry. He hung up before she could respond, his hands shaking. Around him, the office had gone quiet. People were pretending not to stare, but he felt their eyes on him. Felt the weight of what he'd just done. Refusing a direct request from the CEO, jeopardizing the company's biggest project, probably destroying whatever he and Victoria had been building. But Lily was sitting in an elementary school auditorium right now, wearing butterfly wings she'd helped paint herself, waiting for her dad to show up like he'd promised. There was no choice. There had never been a choice. Ethan saved his work, shut down his computer, and grabbed his jacket. Marcus appeared beside his desk as he was leaving. That took guts, Marcus said quietly. Or stupidity. Nah, that was the right call. Kids remember who showed up. Marcus hesitated. For what it's worth, Victoria will understand. Eventually. Maybe. Ethan headed toward the elevator. Or maybe I just threw away everything for one school play. Not everything. The things that matter, you kept. Ethan made it to Washington Elementary at 5:50, sliding into a seat in the back of the auditorium just as the lights dimmed. The play was exactly what elementary school plays were. Chaotic, adorable, with questionable acting and enthusiastic singing. Lily appeared in the third scene as a butterfly who helped a lost caterpillar find its way home. She was radiant, confident, her voice clear as she sang about transformation and hope. And when she saw Ethan in the audience afterward, her face lit up like he'd hung the moon. Daddy, you came! Of course I came, I promised. He scooped her up. You were amazing, baby. The best butterfly I've ever seen. Really? Really. She hugged him tight, and Ethan felt the rightness of his choice settle into his bones. This was what mattered. Not projects or deadlines or board approval. His daughter, happy and loved and secure. But on the drive home, guilt gnawed at him. Victoria was probably drowning right now, trying to finish his work, facing pressure from all sides. He'd left her stranded when she needed him most. After Lily was in bed, he opened his laptop and worked through the night, finishing the structural revisions in a blur of exhaustion and determination. At 11:45 p.m., he uploaded the final files and sent Victoria an email. Revisions complete. I'm sorry I couldn't finish earlier. I hope this isn't too late. E. He waited, staring at his inbox, but no response came. Thursday morning, Ethan arrived at the office at 7 a.m. with 2 hours of sleep and a knot in his stomach. The files had been downloaded at midnight. He'd checked the server logs, but Victoria hadn't responded to his email or his follow-up text. The office felt different. Conversation stopped when he passed. People looked away. Marcus caught his eye from across the room and shook his head slightly. A warning. At 8:30, Victoria's assistant appeared at Ethan's desk. Ms. Hale would like to see you. Conference room B. Ethan's stomach dropped. Conference room B was small, private, the room where difficult conversations happened. He walked there on unsteady legs, knocked twice, and entered. Victoria stood at the window with her back to him, her posture rigid. She wore black today, severe and unforgiving. "Close the door," she said without turning. He did. The revisions were good. Excellent, actually. The engineers approved them this morning. Her voice was flat, emotionless. "We're back on timeline." "That's good." "Is it?" She turned to face him, and Ethan's breath caught. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her makeup not quite hiding the exhaustion. "Do you have any idea what last night cost me?" Victoria, the board met this morning. Emergency session. They wanted to discuss my inability to manage critical deadlines. She crossed her arms. "I spent 3 hours defending my leadership, explaining why the structural lead on our biggest project refused a direct order and left me scrambling. I didn't refuse, I just couldn't stay late. You chose your daughter's school play over a $50 million project." "Yes, I did. Because that's what parents do." "And what about us? What about everything I've been trying to build here?" Her voice cracked. "I stood up to the board for you. Changed schedules, made accommodations, defended your position, and the first time I actually needed you to prioritize the work, you walked out." Ethan felt anger rise to meet her pain. "You asked me to miss my daughter's performance, something I've never done, something she was counting on. What did you expect me to do?" "I expected you to trust me, to believe that one night of sacrifice wouldn't destroy your relationship with Lily. It's not about one night, it's about every night, every choice, every time I have to decide between being her father and being your employee." He stepped forward. "You said family came first. You promised that wouldn't change." "I said it when I thought we could make this work. When I thought you understood what this position requires." Victoria's eyes were blazing now. "But you don't. You can't. Because to you, I'm not just your boss, I'm your girlfriend, and you think that means the rules don't apply." "What rules? The ones where I sacrifice my daughter for your career? The ones where we're professionals first?" She slammed her hand on the table. "The ones where deadlines matter and commitments mean something, and you don't just get to leave when things get hard. I worked until midnight finishing those revisions. After leaving me to explain your absence to a room full of people looking for any excuse to fire me." The words hung between them, raw and ugly. Ethan felt something break in his chest. "Is that what this is about?" he said quietly. "Your job? Your reputation? It's about respect. About partnership. About someone who claims to care about me actually showing up when it counts." Tears were streaming down Victoria's face now, but her voice remained hard. "I have fought my entire life to build this career. Sacrificed relationships, friendships, everything. And I was willing to change that for you. To find balance, to make space for a life outside these walls. But I can't do it alone, Ethan. I need you to meet me halfway. I can't meet you halfway when halfway means abandoning my daughter. One play. I asked you to miss one play. Today it's one play. Tomorrow it's one birthday. Next month it's one hospital visit. Where does it end, Victoria?" He was shouting now, all his fear and exhaustion pouring out. "When does my daughter stop being the most important thing in my life? She doesn't, but I need to matter too. I need to know that sometimes when it's really critical, you'll choose us over her." The words fell like stones into deep water. Ethan stared at her, this woman he'd been falling for, and saw the gulf between them yawn impossibly wide. "I can't do that," he said finally. "I won't do that. Lily will always come first. Always. If that's not enough for you, if you need someone who can put you before their kid—" His voice broke. "Then you need someone else." Victoria's face crumpled. "That's not what I meant." "Yes, it is. You meant exactly that." He moved toward the door. "I should go." "Ethan, wait. I'll finish the Riverside project. I'll fulfill my commitments, but we can't—" He couldn't finish the sentence. "This was a mistake. I'm sorry. Don't do this. Please don't do this." She was crying openly now. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it the way it sounded. I'm just scared and tired, and so am I. But I can't be with someone who sees my daughter as competition. I don't. I love that you're devoted to her. It's one of the things I—" She stopped, swallowed hard. "I'm falling in love with you, Ethan, with both of you. I'm just terrified of losing everything I've worked for. The confession should have changed everything. Instead, it made the break more painful. I know, Ethan said softly, but I can't be the reason you lose it. And you can't be the reason I fail Lily. We're asking each other to be things we can't be. He opened the door and walked out, leaving Victoria crying in the conference room, and felt his heart shatter into pieces he wasn't sure could be reassembled. The rest of Thursday passed in a fog. Ethan worked mechanically, responding to emails, coordinating with engineers, keeping his head down. People gave him space, sensing the disaster that had unfolded. Marcus tried to talk to him at lunch, but Ethan waved him off. At 3:30, he left to pick up Lily. She chattered about her day, about how everyone had loved the play, about how Mrs. Williams said she should try out for the spring musical. That's great, baby, Ethan said, his voice hollow. Daddy, are you sad? A little bit, yeah. About work? Sort of. Lily was quiet for a moment, then said, Is it about Victoria? Ethan's hands tightened on the steering wheel. What makes you think that? You haven't talked about her in 2 days. And you have your sad face on. The one you had after Mommy died. God, she saw everything. Victoria and I had a fight. About what? About work and priorities, and he sighed. Adult stuff. Complicated stuff. Did you say sorry? It's not that simple, Lil. Mrs. Chen says sorry fixes most things, and if sorry doesn't work, you try harder to understand. She looked at him seriously. Do you want to fix it? Ethan thought about gray eyes and rare smiles, and the way Victoria had looked holding Lily's butterfly book like it was precious. Thought about the woman crying in the conference room, terrified of losing her career and the people she was starting to love. I don't know if I can, he admitted. You can do anything, Daddy. You told me that. I tell you a lot of things that might not be true. That one is true. You're the strongest person I know. Lily reached over and patted his arm. You'll figure it out. You always do. That night, after Lily was asleep, Ethan sat in the dark living room and stared at his phone. He typed and deleted a dozen messages to Victoria, none of them saying what needed to be said. Finally, he gave up on texting and just called. She answered on the first ring. Ethan? Her voice was wrecked, hoarse from crying. He felt his resolve waver. I've been thinking, he said, about what you said, about meeting halfway. I shouldn't have said those things. I was cruel and unfair and let me finish. He took a breath. You were right about some of it. I do expect special treatment because of Lily. I do make you work around my schedule. And when you needed me to be flexible, I couldn't be. You had a good reason. So did you. Your career, your reputation, they matter. I shouldn't have dismissed that. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. But Victoria, I can't be in a relationship where my daughter's needs are seen as obstacles, where loving her completely somehow means I don't have room to love anyone else. That's not what I think. I swear that's not. Then what do you think? Because from where I'm sitting, you asked me to choose between you and her, and that's a choice I'll make every single time. Silence stretched between them, heavy with everything unsaid. I think, Victoria said finally, her voice small, that I've spent so long being alone that I don't know how to share someone. I see you with Lily, and you're so complete together, and I panic that there's no room for me, that I'll always be second. You're not second. You're different. She's my daughter. He stopped. You're the woman I'm falling for. Those aren't competing things unless we make them compete. I don't know how to not make them compete. I don't know how to be part of a family. Her voice broke again. I'm so fucking bad at this, Ethan. Relationships, vulnerability, all of it. I push people away the moment they get close because that way I'm in control when they leave. I'm not leaving. You walked out yesterday because you asked me to abandon my kid, not because I wanted to go. He rubbed his face. Victoria, I need you to understand something. Lily is my priority, forever. But that doesn't mean I can't love you. It means you have to be okay with her coming first sometimes. Even when it costs us? Even then. Because the alternative, being with someone who resents her, who sees her as competition, that's not a life I can live. More silence. Then, quietly, what if I promise to try? To work on it, to go to therapy, to figure out how to be less terrified? Are you asking me to give us another chance? I'm asking if you think there's a chance to give. She was crying again. He could hear it. Because I meant what I said earlier. I'm falling in love with you, with the way you parent and the way you solve impossible problems and the way you show up for people. And I'm falling in love with Lily too, her curiosity and her kindness and the way she sees the world. I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose either of you. Ethan felt tears on his own face now. I don't want to lose you either, but I'm scared, Victoria. Scared that the next crisis will blow us apart. Scared that you'll always choose work when it comes down to it. Then let me prove you wrong. Let me show you I can change, that I can put people before projects. Her voice was fierce now. I talked to the board this morning after you left. Told them I need a co-CEO to handle expansion projects. That I'm focusing on the Chicago office and work-life balance. They're bringing someone in next month. Victoria, you don't have to. Yes, I do. Because you were right. I've sacrificed everything for this career and I'm tired. I'm tired of being alone. I'm tired of empty apartments and missed opportunities and letting fear make my decisions. She took a shaky breath. I want what you have. The messy, complicated, beautiful thing you've built with Lily. And I want to build something like that with you, if you'll let me. Ethan closed his eyes, feeling the weight of the choice pressing down on him. This woman who was terrified and broken and trying so hard. This woman who bought Lily butterfly books and showed up at aquariums and cried because she wanted to be part of something bigger than herself. Okay, he said finally. Okay? Okay, we can try again. But slowly. With boundaries and honest conversations and therapy. I'm finding a therapist. Victoria laughed through her tears. I made an appointment for next week. Individual and couples, if you're willing. I'm willing. Really? Really? But Victoria, if you ever ask me to choose between you and Lily again, I won't. I swear I won't. She comes first, always. I understand that now. A pause. Can I see you tomorrow, both of you? Maybe we could try the aquarium again, start over. Lily has a play date tomorrow afternoon. Saturday then, or whenever works. I'm flexible. The word came out strange, like she was testing its shape. I'm learning to be flexible. Ethan smiled despite himself. Saturday works. Come over for breakfast. Lily makes terrible pancakes, but with lots of enthusiasm. That sounds perfect. Victoria's voice was soft now, vulnerable. Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for being brave enough to try. They talked for another hour about fears and hopes and the logistics of building something real. When they finally hung up, Ethan felt exhausted but lighter, like he'd been carrying something heavy and finally set it down. He checked on Lily one more time, found her sleeping peacefully with her stuffed seahorse, and headed to his own bed. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges. Reconciling with Victoria, navigating office dynamics, proving to the board and themselves that this could work. But tonight, in the quiet dark, Ethan let himself hope. Hope that broken things could be mended. That scared people could be brave. That love was possible even when, especially when, it required both people to change. Friday at the office was strange and careful. Victoria sent him a morning email with project updates, professional and distant. But at the bottom, in smaller text, she'd added, looking forward to Saturday. Thank you for giving me another chance. He responded with equal professionalism, adding only, me too, see you at 9. They didn't speak in person, didn't seek each other out, just existed in the same space, working parallel, giving each other room to breathe. Marcus pulled him aside at lunch. You two work it out? Working on it. Good. She's been a mess the last 2 days. Productive mess, but still. A mess. Marcus studied him. You sure about this? Dating the boss is hard enough without all the other complications. I'm not sure about anything except that I want to try. That's probably all anyone can be sure about. Marcus clapped his shoulder. For what it's worth, I think you're good for her. She smiles more when you're around, even when she's trying not to. The word stayed with Ethan through the afternoon, through his drive to pick up Lily, through dinner and bedtime stories. Victoria smiled more when he was around. Despite everything, the pressure and the fear and the impossible balancing act, they made each other happier. That had to count for something. Saturday morning arrived with sunshine and nerves. Ethan and Lily were up early, mixing pancake batter and setting the table, when the doorbell rang at exactly 9 a.m. Victoria stood on his doorstep, holding a bag from the bakery and looking terrified. "Hi," she said. "I brought croissants and muffins. I wasn't sure what you liked, so I got both." "Both is perfect." Ethan stepped aside to let her in. "Come in." Lily appeared from the kitchen, flour on her face, and launched herself at Victoria. "You came!" "Of course I came." Victoria hugged her back, no hesitation this time. "I heard there were terrible pancakes to be made." "They're not terrible. They're abstract." Lily grabbed her hand and pulled her toward the kitchen. "Come on, I'll show you." Ethan followed them, watching Victoria get absorbed into his daughter's enthusiastic cooking lesson, and felt something click into place. This was what starting over looked like. Messy and uncertain and filled with hope. They made abstract pancakes together. They ate too much. They laughed. And when Lily ran to her room to get her butterfly book to show Victoria something, Victoria turned to Ethan with tears in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For not giving up. For letting me try. For—" She gestured around the kitchen at the flour-dusted counters and misshapen pancakes. "For this. For letting me be part of this." Ethan reached across the table and took her hand. "Thank you for wanting to be." And there, in his small kitchen with sunshine streaming through the windows and his daughter's laughter echoing from down the hall, Ethan felt the ground finally stabilize beneath his feet. They weren't fixed, weren't perfect, but they were trying together, and maybe that was enough. The weeks that followed were a careful reconstruction, like building something beautiful from shattered pieces. Victoria showed up for Saturday breakfast every week without fail, learning Lily's routines and preferences with the same meticulous attention she gave architectural details. She started therapy on Tuesdays and dragged Ethan to couples counseling on Thursdays, and in those sessions they excavated old wounds and built new foundations. At work they maintained professional distance, Victoria the CEO, Ethan the structural lead. But everyone could sense the shift. She smiled more. He relaxed more. The Riverside project moved forward flawlessly, and when they broke ground in early November with the mayor and half the city council watching, Victoria made sure Ethan stood beside her for the ceremonial first shovel of dirt. "This project succeeds because of collaborative excellence," she told the assembled crowd, her hand finding his for just a moment. "Because of people who understand that great architecture requires both vision and foundation." The board noticed. The office noticed. And slowly, grudgingly, people stopped whispering about favoritism and started acknowledging what was obvious. Victoria and Ethan worked better together than apart. But it wasn't perfect. There were still hard days, still moments when old fears surfaced. Like the Tuesday in late November when Victoria called at 8 p.m., her voice tight. "I need you to look at the Henderson revisions tonight. The client wants changes by morning, and I don't trust anyone else to do it right." Ethan looked at Lily, who was sprawled on the living room floor working on her homework. "I can't tonight. Lily has a test tomorrow, and I promised to help her study." Silence on the other end. Then, carefully, "Okay, I'll handle it." Victoria, "No, you're right. She comes first. A breath. "Old habits. I'll see you tomorrow." She hung up, and Ethan spent the next hour distracted, helping Lily with multiplication tables, while worrying about Victoria drowning in work alone. Finally, at 9:30, after Lily was in bed, he called her back. "I can do 2 hours," he said, "if you walk me through what you need." "Ethan, you don't have to." "I want to. We're partners. That means showing up for each other when we can." He opened his laptop. "Send me the files." They worked until 11:30, Victoria on video call, Lily asleep down the hall, and something shifted again. The understanding that partnership meant flexibility on both sides, not just one person always sacrificing. "Thank you," Victoria said when they finished, her face tired but grateful on his screen. "Thank you for not pushing, for understanding." "I'm learning," she smiled. "Slowly, but I'm learning." December arrived with the kind of cold that made Chicago feel inhospitable, but inside Ethan's small apartment, warmth grew. Victoria started keeping spare clothes in his closet. She learned to make Lily's favorite mac and cheese. She showed up for parent-teacher conferences and sat beside Ethan, listening intently as Mrs. Williams praised Lily's reading comprehension and suggested she might benefit from the gifted program. "You should be so proud," Mrs. Williams said, looking between them. "Lily is thriving. She talks about both of you constantly." After, in the parking lot, Victoria stood by her car looking stunned. "She said both of us." "She did." "Lily talks about me at school?" "All the time. Victoria said this. Victoria taught me that." Ethan moved closer. "You're part of her life now. Part of our lives." Victoria's eyes filled with tears. "I never thought I'd have this. A family." "You do now, if you want it." "I want it." She kissed him, cold wind whipping around them, and Ethan felt the last of his defenses crumble. This woman who had been so terrified, so guarded, was learning to be open, learning to love messily and imperfectly and completely. The office Christmas party fell on a Friday in mid-December, and Victoria asked Ethan to be her date with such formal nervousness that he couldn't help but smile. "Are you asking me to go public?" he said. "I'm asking you to dance with me in front of the entire company and not care who sees." She was trying for confident but landed somewhere around anxious. "Is that okay?" "It's more than okay." They arranged for Mrs. Chen to watch Lily overnight, a first, and got ready separately before Victoria picked him up at 7. She wore a deep blue dress that made her eyes look silver, and when Ethan opened the door in his suit, she stopped breathing for a moment. "You look—" She couldn't finish. "You too." He pulled her inside, kissing her slowly. "We could skip the party. We're making a statement tonight, showing the board and everyone else that we're serious." She straightened his tie. "Besides, I want to dance with you. Properly, where everyone can see how happy you make me." The party was held at a downtown hotel, all glass chandeliers and too expensive champagne. Ethan felt out of place immediately, surrounded by executives in designer clothes making small talk about market trends and expansion strategies. But Victoria held his hand and introduced him to everyone, not as her employee, but as her partner. "This is Ethan Cole," she said again and again. "He's the structural genius behind our Riverside project, and he's with me." The last part was said with such quiet pride that Ethan fell a little more in love each time. Marcus found them by the bar, grinning. "You two are brave. Half the room is scandalized. The other half is taking bets on how long it lasts." "What are the odds?" Ethan asked. 3-1 against. I put 50 on you making it." Marcus raised his glass. "Don't let me down." "We'll do our best," Victoria said dryly. They mingled and made conversation and endured subtle judgment from board members who clearly disapproved. But when the music started and Victoria pulled Ethan onto the dance floor, none of it mattered anymore. "I haven't danced in years," he admitted as they swayed together. "Me neither. We can be terrible together." She rested her head against his chest. "Thank you for being here, for not hiding. I'm done hiding. From this, from us, from anything." He pulled back to look at her. "I love you, Victoria." The words came out simply, no dramatic build-up, just truth spoken in the middle of a crowded dance floor. Victoria's eyes went wide. "You what?" "I love you. I've been trying not to say it, trying to be careful and measured, but I can't anymore." He touched her face. "I love how you show up for Lily. I love how you're trying so hard to change. I love your brilliant mind and your terrible fears and the way you look at me like I'm something precious. I love you." Tears spilled down Victoria's cheeks. "I love you too. So much it terrifies me. So much I keep waiting to wake up and find out this isn't real." "It's real." He kissed her softly, aware of everyone watching, not caring. "We're real." They danced through 3 more songs, wrapped in each other, and when they finally left the party at 10 p.m., early by executive standards, they drove to Ethan's apartment and spent the night discovering each other in ways that had nothing to do with work or projects or careful boundaries. In the morning, they woke tangled together, and Victoria traced patterns on Ethan's chest. "I need to tell you something," she said quietly. Okay. The board offered me a position on the National Advisory Committee. It's prestigious, high profile, could lead to bigger opportunities. She propped herself up on one elbow. I turned it down. Ethan stared at her. Why? Because it would require travel 6 months of the year. Because it would mean missing Lily's plays and your Saturday pancakes and everything we're building here. She smiled. Because I finally understand what matters. Victoria, you can't give up opportunities for us. I'm not giving up. I'm choosing differently. There will be other opportunities, other committees. But there's only one you and one Lily, and I refuse to lose what we have for something that looks good on a resume. She kissed him. I'm choosing us. Actively, consciously, every day. Ethan pulled her close, overwhelmed by the enormity of her choice. I don't deserve you. Yes, you do. We both deserve this. She nestled against him. I just hope Lily still likes me when she realizes I'm not going anywhere. She loves you. Trust me. As if summoned, Ethan's phone buzzed with a text from Mrs. Chen. Lily, asking when you're picking her up. She wants to show Victoria her new drawing. Victoria laughed. See? I'm part of the routine now. There's no escape. Would you want to escape? Never. She said it with such certainty that Ethan's heart ached. This is everything I didn't know I wanted. Everything I was too scared to hope for. They picked up Lily at noon, and she immediately launched into a detailed description of her sleepover with Mrs. Chen, barely pausing for breath. In the car, she chattered about the movie they'd watched and the cookies they'd baked, and then, suddenly, she went quiet. Victoria? Lily's voice was small from the back seat. Yes, sweetie? Are you Daddy's girlfriend now? Ethan's hands tightened on the steering wheel. They'd been avoiding labels, taking things slow for Lily's sake, but apparently she'd noticed anyway. Victoria twisted in her seat to look at Lily. Would that be okay with you? If I was? Lily considered this seriously. Would you come to more of my stuff? Like plays and school things? I'd love to, if you want me there. And would you stay over sometimes, like for pancakes? If your dad says it's okay. Lily looked at Ethan. Is it okay, Daddy? He met Victoria's eyes, saw the hope and fear warring there, and felt his last reservation dissolve. Yeah, it's okay. Good. Lily went back to her drawing. Mrs. Chen says everyone needs someone to love them. I'm glad Daddy has you. Victoria's eyes filled with tears, and Ethan reached over to squeeze her hand. This was what family looked like, messy and honest, and built from small moments of acceptance. The weeks before Christmas were a blur of preparations and celebrations. Victoria helped Lily pick out a tree, laughing as they tried to fit an 8-foot monstrosity into Ethan's living room. She wrapped presents with meticulous precision while Lily watched, fascinated. She learned to make hot chocolate the way Lily liked it, extra marshmallows, no whipped cream, and started keeping those ingredients stocked at her own apartment. You're nesting, Marcus observed one day at work, watching Victoria reorganize her office to include photos of Ethan and Lily on her desk. I'm what? Nesting, building a home. You've got family photos displayed like a proud mom. He grinned. It's sweet. Weird, but sweet. Victoria looked at the photos. One of Lily at the aquarium, one of Ethan smiling over coffee, one of all three of them at the park, and felt something warm settle in her chest. I guess I am. Is that pathetic? At 38? It's human. We all want to belong somewhere. Marcus studied her. You're happier than I've ever seen you. Less scary. I'm not scary. You're terrifying, but in a different way now. Less ice queen, more protective mama bear. Victoria laughed. I'm working on the protective part, still figuring out the mama part. But she was figuring it out piece by piece. When Lily asked her to help with a science project about butterfly metamorphosis, Victoria spent hours researching and building a presentation board that was probably too sophisticated for first grade, but made Lily beam with pride. When Lily had a nightmare and called for her dad, Victoria was there too, sitting on the edge of the bed and reading stories until the fear passed. You're good at this, Ethan told her one night after Lily finally fell asleep. At what? Being what she needs, being what we need. He pulled her close. I was so scared of letting anyone into our lives, but you fit, like you were always meant to be here. I feel that way too, like I've been looking for you both my whole life without knowing it. She kissed his shoulder. Ethan, can I ask you something? Anything. Would you and Lily want to spend Christmas with me at my place? I know you probably have traditions, and I don't want to intrude, but we'd love to. He turned to face her. Lily's been asking if you'd be there anyway. She's worried you'll be alone. She worries about me. She loves you. Of course she worries. Victoria buried her face in his chest, overwhelmed. I never thought I'd have this. People who care if I'm alone on Christmas, people who want me around. You have it now. You have us. Ethan tilted her face up. All of us. For as long as you want. Forever, Victoria whispered. I want forever. Christmas morning arrived cold and bright, and Ethan and Lily showed up at Victoria's downtown condo at 9 a.m. carrying presents and ingredients for breakfast. Victoria's place was stunning, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the lake, modern furniture, art on every wall. But what caught Ethan's attention was the tree. She'd bought a real tree, decorated it with ornaments that looked suspiciously child-friendly, and stacked presents underneath with names carefully written on tags. You went all out, he said, setting down the food. I wanted it to be special, our first Christmas. Victoria looked nervous. Is it too much? It's perfect. He kissed her while Lily ran to examine the presents, exclaiming over each one. They made breakfast together, pancakes, naturally, and then settled in the living room to open gifts. Victoria had bought Lily art supplies and science kits and books about butterflies and dragons. For Ethan, she'd found a first edition architecture book he'd been searching for years, and a framed blueprint of the Riverside project with both their names on it. So you never forget what we built together, she said as he stared at it. I could never forget. His voice was rough. Victoria, this is open mine. Lily thrust a lumpy package at Victoria. I made it myself. Victoria unwrapped it carefully to find a clay sculpture, abstract and wobbly, but clearly meant to be 3 figures holding hands. One tall, one medium, one small. It's us, Lily explained. Our family. Victoria's hands shook as she held it. Lily, this is the most beautiful thing anyone's ever given me. Really? Really, really? She pulled Lily into a fierce hug. Thank you, sweetheart. I'm going to keep it forever. Ethan watched them together, his daughter and the woman he loved, and felt something complete itself inside him. This was what Sarah would have wanted, not for him to stay frozen in grief, but to find joy again, to build a new family without forgetting the old one. Later, when Lily was absorbed in her new art supplies, Victoria pulled Ethan aside. I need to tell you something, she said. That sounds ominous. It's not. It's just... She took a breath. I talked to my therapist about this, and she said I should be honest about what I want, so here it is. She met his eyes. I want to move in together. Not right away, not rushed, but eventually. I want to wake up with you every morning and help Lily with homework and have family dinners and all the boring, beautiful, mundane things I've never had. Ethan's heart raced. That's a big step. I know. And I know my place is too formal for a 6-year-old and yours is too small for 3 people, so we'd have to find something new, together. She was talking faster now, nervous. But I'm ready for that step, for the commitment, the mess, all of it, if you are. I am. The words came easily, naturally. I want that too. A place that's ours. All of ours. Victoria's smile was blinding. Yeah? Yeah? But we do it right. Let Lily help pick the place. Make sure she feels included in the decision. Of course, she's part of this. Victoria glanced over at Lily, who was painting something with fierce concentration. She's the most important part. So are you. Don't forget that. I'm working on believing it. She leaned into him. This is real, right? Not some dream I'm going to wake up from. It's real. We're real. This whole messy, beautiful thing we're building. It's real. They stood there watching Lily paint, and Ethan felt the last piece of his grief finally release its grip. Sarah was gone, and that loss would always be part of him. But life was offering him a second chance at happiness, and he was finally ready to take it. The new year arrived with possibilities and plans. They started house hunting in January, dragging Lily to showings every weekend. She had opinions, loud, definite opinions about which houses had good butterfly gardens and which had rooms that could be princess castles. Victoria took notes on everything Lily said with the same seriousness she gave client feedback. "We need at least 3 bedrooms," she told the realtor. "One for us, one for Lily, and one that can be an office/guest room, and a yard. Lily needs space to play. And butterflies," Lily added. "Lily, we need a yard for butterflies." "And butterflies, boy," Victoria agreed solemnly. They found it in February. A craftsman-style house in a quiet neighborhood with good schools and a backyard that was perfect for both gardens and play structures. It needed work. The kitchen was outdated, the bathrooms needed updating, but the bones were solid and the light was beautiful. "This is it," Victoria said, standing in the empty living room while Lily ran from room to room squealing. "This is home." Ethan watched her look around with that architectural eye, already planning renovations and improvements, and felt certainty settle over him. "Yeah, it is." They made an offer that night, and when it was accepted 2 days later, Lily insisted on celebrating with ice cream for dinner. Victoria agreed immediately, and Ethan watched them debate flavors and toppings and realized his daughter had stopped asking permission to love Victoria. She just did, openly and completely. At work, the Riverside project was wrapping up ahead of schedule and under budget. The board grudgingly admitted that Victoria's leadership approach, the one that prioritized work-life balance and collaborative excellence, was actually producing better results. The co-CEO she'd brought in to handle expansion projects was working out well, taking pressure off Victoria and giving her time to focus on what she loved, designing and building. "You were right," the board chair told her in March, "about balance, about priorities. The company is stronger for it." Victoria thanked him professionally, but later, in Ethan's office, she allowed herself to grin. "Did you hear that? I was right. I'm going to lord this over them forever." "You're going to be insufferable about it." "Absolutely." She perched on his desk. "We should celebrate. Dinner tomorrow? Just us?" Mrs. Chen already agreed to watch Lily overnight. Ethan pulled her closer. "I was thinking we could stay in, cook together, open that wine you've been saving. That wine is a 1998 Bordeaux worth $600. "Exactly. What are we saving it for?" Victoria laughed. "When did you get so good at talking me into things?" "I've been practicing." He kissed her softly. "Besides, we have things to celebrate. The project, the house, us." "Us," Victoria repeated, like the word was precious. "I like the sound of that." The next evening, they cooked in Victoria's condo, soon to be their old place, soon to be just a memory, and talked about the future, about renovations and furniture, and whether they should get a dog. "Lily would love a dog," Victoria said, chopping vegetables with precise movements. "So would you. Don't pretend otherwise." "Maybe a big one. Something protective and loyal." "Like you," Ethan said, and she threw a piece of carrot at him. They ate dinner slowly, savoring both the food and the quiet intimacy of being alone together. After, they opened the expensive wine and settled on the couch overlooking the dark lake. "Can I tell you something?" Victoria said, her head on his shoulder. "Always. I'm happy, really, genuinely happy. I didn't think I could be, didn't think I deserved to be, but I am." She looked up at him. "You did that. You and Lily. We just gave you space to be yourself. No, you gave me a reason to be better, to want more than just success and achievement." She sat up, turning to face him. "Ethan, I know we've talked about moving in together, about building a life, but I want to make it official." His heart started pounding. "Official how?" Victoria set down her wine glass and pulled a small box from her pocket. Ethan's breath stopped. "I know this is unconventional," she said, opening the box to reveal a simple platinum band. "I know usually the man asks, but I'm not usual and we're not usual, and I don't want to wait for you to work up the courage." She was smiling even as tears filled her eyes. "Ethan Cole, you and Lily are my family, my home, everything I didn't know I needed. So I'm asking, will you marry me?" Ethan stared at the ring, then at her face, and felt joy explode through his chest. "Yes! God, yes!" Victoria laughed and cried simultaneously, sliding the ring onto his finger with shaking hands. "Really? Really, really?"
He pulled her into his lap, kissing her deeply. Though Lily's going to be mad she wasn't here for this. She knew. I asked her permission last week. Victoria was grinning now. She said yes immediately and then spent 20 minutes explaining what kind of wedding we should have. Apparently butterflies are mandatory. You asked my 6-year-old for permission to marry me? She's part of this decision, part of everything. Victoria touched his face. I wanted her blessing.
Ethan kissed her again, overwhelmed by this woman who understood without being told that his daughter's approval mattered more than anything else. When did you know that you wanted this? Christmas morning, when Lily gave me that sculpture and called us a family, I realized I didn't want to be temporary in your lives. I wanted to be permanent. She nestled against him. I want forever with both of you. You have it. You've always had it. They stayed up late, making plans and drinking expensive wine and talking about weddings and futures and all the beautiful complexity ahead. At some point, Victoria's phone buzzed with a text. It's Lily, she said, showing him the screen. Mrs. Chen let her send a message. The text was mostly emojis, hearts and rings and butterflies, followed by, Did Daddy say yes? Victoria typed back. He said yes. We're getting married. The response was immediate. Yay! Can I be a butterfly bride? I have no idea what that means, Victoria said. Neither do I, but yes, obviously. Victoria laughed and pulled him closer, and in the quiet of her condo with the city lights reflecting off the lake, they held each other and dreamed of the future they were building together. It wasn't the future Ethan had imagined when Sarah died. It wasn't the future Victoria had planned when she dedicated herself to architecture above all else. But it was theirs, messy and complicated and absolutely perfect. And when they went to pick up Lily the next morning and she saw the ring on Ethan's finger, her squeal of excitement could probably be heard 3 blocks away. We're getting married, she shouted, jumping into Victoria's arms. We're going to be a real family. We already are a real family, Victoria said, holding her tight. This just makes it official. Lily pulled back to look at her seriously. Do I get to call you Mom? Victoria's breath caught. She looked at Ethan, who nodded encouragingly, and then back at Lily. If you want to. I would be so honored. Not Mom. You're Victoria. Lily thought about it. But you're my Victoria. That's special. The most special? Victoria agreed, tears streaming down her face. You're my Lily, and that's the most special thing in the world. Ethan watched his daughter and his fiancée hold each other and felt the last broken piece of his heart finally heal. Sarah would always be Lily's mother. That would never change. But Victoria was becoming something equally important. Chosen family, deliberately built, sustained by love and effort and the courage to be vulnerable. Later, driving home with Lily chattering about wedding plans in the back seat, Victoria reached over and took Ethan's hand. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For not giving up on me. For being patient while I figured out how to love you. For letting me into your world. She squeezed his fingers. For everything. Thank you for knocking on my door that first night. For being brave enough to fall apart in front of me. He brought her hand to his lips. For choosing us. Always, Victoria said. I'll always choose us. And in that moment, with his daughter singing off-key in the back seat and the woman he loved beside him, Ethan knew that some endings were really just beginnings wearing different clothes. They were building something new from the ruins of old pain, something beautiful and lasting and worth every moment of fear it took to get there. They were building home. The house hunting accelerated after the engagement, fueled by Lily's excitement and Victoria's newfound determination to build their home before the wedding. They closed on the craftsman in early March, and the renovations began immediately. Victoria overseeing every detail with the precision of someone designing not just a house but a life. The kitchen needs to be open, she told the contractor, pointing at walls that would soon disappear. So we can cook together, as a family. Ethan watched her gesture and plan, her hand unconsciously moving to touch the engagement ring she'd bought for herself, a matching platinum band she'd slipped on the day after he'd said yes. She caught him staring and smiled. What? You. Planning our life like it's the most important project you've ever designed. It is. She crossed to him, wrapping her arms around his waist. Every building I've ever created was for someone else. This one is for us. They moved in on a Saturday in late April, the house still smelling of fresh paint and new wood floors. Lily claimed her room immediately, declaring it perfect for a princess castle/science lab, while Victoria and Ethan unpacked boxes in what would become their bedroom. I can't believe we're doing this, Victoria said, hanging clothes in their shared closet. Living together, building a life. Having second thoughts? Not even close, just... She paused, holding one of his old t-shirts, marveling at how much has changed. A year ago, I was alone in a sterile condo working 18-hour days. Now I'm hanging your ratty college shirts next to my designer suits and couldn't be happier about it. That shirt is not ratty. It has holes, Ethan, multiple holes. They're ventilation. She threw the shirt at him, laughing, and he caught her around the waist, pulling her down onto their new bed. They kissed slowly, savoring the moment, until Lily's voice echoed up the stairs. Are you guys coming? I need help building my bookshelf. Victoria pulled back, grinning. Duty calls. Welcome to family life. I wouldn't have it any other way. They spent the rest of the day assembling furniture and arguing about where things should go. Lily insisting the living room needed more space for art projects. Victoria quietly moving breakable items to higher shelves. Ethan mediating between them with the patience of someone who'd been doing this for years. By evening, they were exhausted but settled. They ordered pizza and ate it on the floor of their empty dining room, Lily chattering about school while Victoria listened with the focused attention she gave everything now. And then Emma said her mom is having another baby, which means she'll have 3 siblings, which seems like a lot, but she's excited. Lily looked between them. Are you guys going to have a baby? Ethan choked on his pizza. Victoria's eyes went wide. That's... Victoria started. We haven't really... Because I think I'd like a sibling, Lily continued, oblivious to their panic. Someone to play with, but only if it's not annoying. Emma says her little brother is super annoying. Most siblings are annoying sometimes, Ethan managed. It's basically their job. Would you be annoying if I had a sibling? Lily asked Victoria. I don't... Victoria looked at Ethan helplessly. What? Would you be mean to the baby because you wanted to be the only one? Understanding dawned on Victoria's face. Oh, sweetie, no. If we had a baby, you'd still be my Lily. Nothing would change that. You'd just also be a big sister, which is a very important job. What kind of job? Teaching them things, protecting them, showing them how the world works. Victoria reached over and touched Lily's hair. Like you teach me things all the time. I do? Of course. You taught me how to make the perfect hot chocolate, how to watch for butterflies, how to be part of a family. Victoria's voice was soft. You're an excellent teacher. Lily considered this seriously. Okay, so if you have a baby, I'll teach it stuff. But can we get a dog first for practice? Ethan laughed, the tension breaking. We'll talk about the dog. Later, after Lily was asleep in her new room, Victoria and Ethan lay in their new bed staring at the ceiling. Did we just get ambushed about having kids? Victoria said. I think we did. I'm 38. I didn't think... She stopped. Do you want more children? Ethan turned to face her. I never let myself think about it. After Sarah died, it felt like that door was closed. But now... He touched her face. If it's something you want, I'm not opposed. But no pressure. You're enough. This is enough. What if I do want it? Victoria's voice was small. What if I want to experience pregnancy and midnight feedings and all the terrifying, beautiful things I thought I'd missed my chance at? Then we talk to a doctor, see what's possible, take it one step at a time. He kissed her forehead. But Victoria, whether we have a baby or not, you're already a mother. To Lily, that's not less than because she's not biologically yours. I know, She blinked back tears. I want everything with you, the whole messy experience. Is that greedy? It's human, and we'll figure it out, together. He pulled her close. But maybe we get married first? Finish the renovations? Let Lily adjust to the new house? Victoria laughed wetly. Practical as always. Someone has to be. You're the dreamer now. When did that happen? The moment you fell in love with us. She kissed him, deep and grateful, and they fell asleep tangled together in their new home, dreaming of futures they hadn't dared imagine before. The wedding planning began in earnest in May. Victoria wanted something simple and meaningful, not the society spectacle her position might demand, but something intimate with the people they actually loved. They settled on a ceremony in their new backyard on the summer solstice, with a reception small enough that everyone mattered. Lily appointed herself wedding coordinator, a role she took with terrifying seriousness. She had opinions about flowers, butterflies liked certain colors apparently, music, nothing boring, and the most important detail, her dress. "I need wings," she informed them over breakfast one Saturday, "for the butterfly bride thing." "You want to wear butterfly wings to the wedding?" Ethan asked. "Obviously, Victoria's marrying into our family, so I need to represent the butterflies. It's symbolic." Victoria tried not to smile. "Where did you learn about symbolism?" "Mrs. Williams. We're studying metaphors." Lily said it like it was obvious. "So can I have wings?" "Yes," Victoria said immediately. "Absolutely yes. We'll find the most beautiful wings ever made." Ethan watched them lean over Lily's tablet, searching for butterfly wings, and felt his heart expand. This was his life now, bizarre wedding planning sessions and symbolic butterflies, and a daughter who understood metaphors at age 7. It was strange and perfect, and nothing like he'd imagined. The board at Hale and Morrison threw Victoria an engagement party in June, which was more politically motivated than celebratory, but Victoria attended with Grace and Ethan at her side. She'd learned to navigate these events now, to let them see her happiness without apologizing for it. "You've changed," the board chair commented, watching her laugh at something Ethan said. "Softer." "Happier," Victoria corrected. "There's a difference." "The company hasn't suffered for it. In fact, profits are up 12% since you restructured. Turns out people work better when they have lives outside work." Revolutionary concept. Her tone was dry, but her smile was genuine. "I was wrong about Cole. About this." The admission seemed to cost him. "You were right to follow your instincts." "I know." Victoria squeezed Ethan's hand, "But thank you for saying it." Later, driving home, Ethan glanced at her. "That must have felt good." The board chair admitting he was wrong. "It did, but not as good as going home to our house, to our life." She looked at him. "I used to measure success in contracts and revenue. Now I measure it in whether I make it home for dinner, whether Lily smiles when she sees me, whether you still look at me like I'm magic." "You are magic. Terrifying, brilliant magic." "I'll take it." She pulled into their driveway where lights glowed warm in the windows. "God, I love coming home to this. To you both waiting." They found Lily in the living room building an elaborate blanket fort with Mrs. Chen, who waved cheerfully before heading home. Lily immediately pulled them into the fort to show them the throne room and butterfly sanctuary she'd created. "This is very architecturally sound," Victoria said seriously, examining the blanket supports. "I learned from the best." Lily beamed at her. "Can we have fort dinner, please?" So they ate takeout in the blanket fort, Lily wedged between them, and Victoria thought about how, a year ago, she would have called this chaos. Now she called it home. The summer passed in a blur of wedding preparations and work projects and learning to be a family. Victoria discovered she loved grocery shopping, of all things, the mundane ritual of selecting food her family would eat, checking with Lily about preferences, making sure Ethan's favorite coffee was stocked. She learned Lily's routine so well she could navigate it without thinking. Wake up at 7, breakfast by 7:30, backpack checked, permission slip signed, goodbye kiss at the door. "You're really good at this," Mrs. Chen observed one morning, watching Victoria efficiently manage Lily's pre-camp chaos. "At what?" "Being a mother. You worried so much about not knowing how, but you're a natural." Victoria felt tears prick her eyes. "I just pay attention, notice what she needs." "That's all parenting is, dear, showing up and paying attention and loving them through the mess." Mrs. Chen patted her arm. "You do that beautifully." Ethan found her crying in the kitchen after Lily left for camp. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. Everything. Mrs. Chen said I'm good at being a mother and I just—" She wiped her eyes.
I never thought anyone would say that about me, never thought I'd earn it. You've earned it 1,000 times over. He pulled her close. Lily adores you. I adore you. You're exactly what we needed. I needed you both more. She looked up at him. I've been thinking about what Lily asked, about having a baby. And I want to try. I know the odds aren't great at my age, and it might not work, but I want to try. She took a breath. I want to experience it with you, want to see what we'd create together. Ethan kissed her softly. Then we try. After the wedding, we talk to doctors and see what's possible. Really? Really? I'd love to have a baby with you. Watch you become a mother from the very beginning. He touched her face. Watch our family grow. Victoria hugged him tight, overwhelmed by the possibility of it all. A wedding, a baby, a future stretching out bright and endless. She'd spent so long believing this kind of happiness wasn't meant for her, and now here it was, offered freely. The wedding day arrived with perfect weather, sunshine and gentle breeze, their backyard transformed into something magical. White chairs arranged in neat rows, flowers everywhere, and at the altar, a wooden arch that Ethan had helped design and Lily had decorated with paper butterflies. Victoria got ready in their bedroom, her hands shaking as she tried to zip her dress. Simple and elegant, nothing like the elaborate gown she might have chosen in another life. A knock at the door made her pause. Come in. Lily entered wearing her flower girl dress and the magnificent butterfly wings they'd found, iridescent and huge and absolutely perfect. She looked like a fairy tale. You look beautiful, Victoria breathed. So do you. Lily came closer, studying her. Are you nervous? Terrified. What if I trip? What if I say the wrong words? What if you just love Daddy and everything's perfect? Lily interrupted. Because that's what's going to happen. Victoria laughed through sudden tears. When did you get so wise? I'm 7.5 now, practically grown up. Lily reached into her pocket and pulled out a small box. I have something for you. Lily, you didn't have to. It was Mommy's. Lily opened the box to reveal a delicate silver bracelet. Daddy said she wore it on her wedding day, and I thought... She looked up with serious eyes. I thought you should wear it too. So she's here with us. So you know we all love you. Even Mommy, I think. Victoria's hands shook as she took the bracelet, overwhelmed by the enormity of the gift. Sweetheart, are you sure? This is your mother's, and you're my Victoria. Family shares important things. Lily helped her put it on. Daddy says Mommy would like you, that she'd be happy he found someone who loves us. I do love you so much. Victoria pulled Lily into a fierce hug. Thank you for this, for everything, for letting me into your family. You're not in our family. You are our family. Lily pulled back, grinning. Now come on. Daddy's waiting and he's probably super nervous. They walked downstairs together, and through the window Victoria could see the guests assembled, small but meaningful. Marcus and his wife, Mrs. Chen, Victoria's therapist, a handful of colleagues, the board chair and his wife, surprising but welcome, everyone who had helped them build this moment. And at the altar, looking devastatingly handsome in his suit, stood Ethan. When their eyes met, his whole face transformed, fear melting into pure joy. The ceremony was simple and perfect. Lily walked down the aisle first, scattering rose petals with dramatic flair, her wings catching the sunlight. Then Victoria, walking alone because she'd chosen this herself, chosen him, chosen this life. They'd written their own vows, and when it was Victoria's turn, she took Ethan's hands and spoke from the heart. I spent most of my life building walls, around my heart, around my time, around any possibility of being hurt. I told myself I was strong, independent, that I didn't need anyone. Then you walked into my life with your brilliant mind and your terrible dad jokes and your complete devotion to your daughter, and every wall I'd built started crumbling. She was crying now but didn't care. You taught me that strength isn't being alone. It's being brave enough to let people in, to build something together, to risk everything for love. She glanced at Lily, who was watching with rapt attention. You both taught me what family really means, not blood or obligation, but choice. Every day, choosing each other, choosing love, choosing home. She squeezed Ethan's hands.
So I choose you, Ethan Cole. Today and every day after. I choose us. Ethan was openly crying, not even trying to hide it. I told myself after Sarah died that I'd had my chance at love, that lightning didn't strike twice, that I'd focus on being the best father I could be, and that would be enough. He took a shaky breath. Then you showed up, fierce and brilliant and so terrified of being vulnerable, and proved me wrong. You showed me that love isn't a limited resource, that opening my heart to you didn't mean closing it to Sarah's memory, that Lily could have two people who loved her completely, that I could build a new life without betraying the old one. His voice broke. You saved me, Victoria. Saved us. Showed us what it looks like to choose joy after grief, hope after fear. So I choose you too. Forever. You and me and Lily and whatever future we build together. I choose all of it. There wasn't a dry eye in the yard when they finally kissed, sealing promises that had been building for months. Lily cheered loudest, jumping up and down so hard her wings nearly fell off. The reception was intimate and joyful, good food, better company, and dancing on the grass as the sun set. Victoria danced with Ethan, with Lily, with Marcus, with the board chair who admitted he'd never seen her this happy. She spun under the lights they'd strung through the trees and felt absolutely free. Can I cut in? Lily appeared beside them as they swayed to a slow song. Of course. Victoria picked her up, holding her while Ethan held them both, and they danced as a family while their guests watched and smiled. This is perfect, Lily whispered. This is everything I wished for. Me too, baby, Victoria said. Me too. Later, after the guests left and Lily was asleep in her room with Mrs. Chen watching her, Victoria and Ethan stood in their backyard under the stars. We did it, she said. We're married. We're married. He pulled her close. How does it feel? Like coming home, like everything finally makes sense. She looked up at him. Thank you for not giving up on me, for being patient while I figured out how to love you. Thank you for being brave enough to try, for knocking on my door that night and falling apart and letting me see the real you. He kissed her forehead. That's when I started falling, when you stopped being my boss and became just Victoria, scared and human and perfect. I'm not perfect. Perfect for us. That's all that matters. They stood there swaying slightly, and Victoria thought about the journey that had brought them here, the missed signals and misunderstandings, the fight that almost ended everything, the slow, careful rebuilding, the choice to be vulnerable, to risk hurt, to believe in possibility. I never thought I'd have this, she said quietly, a partner who sees me, a daughter who loves me, a home that's actually warm and messy and alive. You have it now, all of it, forever. Forever, she repeated, and it didn't scare her anymore. It felt like promise, like hope. The months after the wedding were a settling into routines and rhythms, into being husband and wife, into the comfortable intimacy of shared space and shared lives. Victoria officially adopted Lily in August, a legal process that made official what had been true for months. Lily Cole Hale, her hyphenated name a bridge between the family she was born into and the family she'd chosen. Does this mean you're really my mom now? Lily asked afterward, holding her new birth certificate. I'm really your Victoria. Always have been. Victoria knelt down to her level. But yes, legally, officially, I'm your mother too, if that's okay with you. It's more than okay. It's perfect. Lily hugged her tight. I have the best family ever. In September, Victoria discovered she was pregnant. They'd been trying since July, working with fertility specialists who'd warned them the odds were long at her age, but she'd beaten the odds before. When the test came back positive, she stared at it for 10 minutes before calling Ethan at work. I need you to come home, she said. What's wrong? Is Lily okay? Everyone's fine, just... Her voice broke. Come home. Please. He arrived 20 minutes later, panicked, to find her sitting on their bed holding the pregnancy test. Victoria, what? Then he saw it. Oh my God. I'm pregnant. She started laughing and crying simultaneously. I'm 39 and pregnant and terrified and so happy I can't breathe. Ethan crossed to her in 3 strides, pulling her into his arms. We're having a baby. We're having a baby. She pulled back to look at him. Are you happy? Is this good? This is everything. You're everything. He kissed her, tender and reverent. How do we tell Lily? They told her that night at dinner, presenting her with a wrapped box containing a big sister t-shirt. Lily opened it, read it, and promptly burst into tears. Happy tears, she clarified. I'm so happy. When do we get the baby? Around May, Victoria said. Next spring. That's so long. Babies take time to grow, like butterflies in cocoons. Lily considered this, then nodded seriously. I'll be patient, but I'm starting my teaching lessons now. The baby needs to learn about butterflies and dragons and important stuff. She ran off to make a list, leaving Ethan and Victoria laughing in the kitchen. She's going to be an amazing big sister, Ethan said. She already is. Victoria touched her still flat stomach. God, I can't believe this is real, that we get all of this. Believe it. You deserve it. Every single piece. The pregnancy was harder than Victoria expected. Morning sickness that lasted all day. Exhaustion that made working full hours impossible. Anxiety about every twinge and symptom. But Ethan and Lily rallied around her, managing the household while she rested, bringing her crackers and ginger tea, reading baby books aloud. You're supposed to be glowing, Victoria complained one evening, looking pale and miserable on the couch. You are glowing, Lily insisted, just green glowing instead of pink glowing. That's very diplomatic, sweetie. Work became a negotiation. Victoria determined to maintain her position while acknowledging her limitations. The co-CEO stepped up, handling more day-to-day operations while Victoria focused on strategic decisions and major projects. The board, surprisingly, was supportive. Take the time you need, the board chair told her. We'll manage. I'm not dying, I'm pregnant. And you've proven you can do both, build a company and build a life. So build both. He smiled. But maybe take more breaks. You look terrible. Everyone keeps saying that. It's very encouraging. By December, Victoria was showing a small but definite bump that Lily liked to talk to, explaining the finer points of being a butterfly expert. Christmas that year was magic. Their second in the house, but their first as a married family of almost 4. They put up a huge tree that Lily and Ethan decorated while Victoria supervised from the couch, too nauseous to help but too happy to care. They strung lights everywhere, baked cookies that mostly burned, and took a family photo for their first holiday card. Ethan and Victoria seated, Lily standing behind them with her hands on Victoria's shoulders, all of them beaming. We look like a real family, Lily said, studying the photo. We are a real family, Victoria corrected gently. I know, but now we look like one too. New Year's arrived with both reflection and anticipation. They spent it quietly at home, watching the ball drop on TV while Lily fell asleep between them on the couch. This time last year, we were just starting, Ethan said softly. Just beginning to figure out what this could be. And now look at us. Married, pregnant, building a life. Victoria leaned her head on his shoulder. It doesn't feel real sometimes. Like I'll wake up alone in that sterile condo and realize I dreamed all of this. It's real. We're real. This, he gestured at their home, at Lily sleeping peacefully, at Victoria's pregnant belly, is the realest thing I've ever known. The new year brought new challenges. Victoria's pregnancy progressed with complications, gestational diabetes, high blood pressure, concerns about preterm labor. She was put on partial bed rest at 28 weeks, which drove her slowly insane until Lily started bringing her schoolwork home to do together. You're my bed rest buddy, Lily announced, settling in beside her with math worksheets. I'm not sure I'm the best math helper. You're better than Daddy. He gets confused by fractions. I can hear you, Ethan called from downstairs. Victoria worked from bed as much as possible, video conferencing with the office, reviewing plans and proposals on her laptop. Ethan managed the household with the efficiency of someone used to single parenting, and Lily stepped up in ways that made Victoria's heart ache. I'm sorry I can't do more, Victoria said one evening after Lily had brought her dinner in bed. You're growing my sibling. That's important work. Lily patted her hand. We've got everything else. When did you become so mature? I've always been mature. You just notice now. March arrived with increasing anxiety. Victoria's blood pressure kept spiking, and at 36 weeks her doctor made the call. We're inducing tomorrow, she said. It's safer for both of you. Victoria called Ethan from the hospital, trying not to panic. The baby's coming. Tomorrow morning. Can you... I'm on my way. Mrs. Chen is coming to stay with Lily. His voice was steady, calm. We've got this. We've got you. He arrived at the hospital within an hour, and they spent the night in her room, talking and worrying and planning. At dawn, they started the induction, and the contractions began, painful and relentless. I take back everything I said about wanting this experience, Victoria gasped between contractions. This is terrible. You're doing amazing. Ethan held her hand, letting her squeeze hard enough to break bones. Liar. I'm a disaster. My disaster. The mother of my children. The love of my life. He kissed her sweaty forehead. And you're so close to meeting our baby. 17 hours later, in the early evening of a spring day that smelled like rain, Victoria and Ethan's daughter was born, tiny and perfect and screaming with remarkable volume. She's got your voice, Ethan said, tears streaming down his face. And your stubbornness, probably. Victoria held their daughter, overwhelmed by love so fierce it hurt. Hi, baby. Hi, sweet girl. We've been waiting for you. They named her Sarah Rose Cole Hale, Sarah for Ethan's first wife, Rose for Victoria's mother, both women who had shaped them and brought them to this moment. Lily met her sister the next day, approaching the hospital bassinet with reverent care. She's so small, Lily whispered. You were this small once, Ethan said. No, I wasn't. I was bigger. I'm sure of it. But Lily was smiling, reaching out one careful finger to touch Sarah's tiny hand. Hi, baby sister. I'm Lily. I'm going to teach you everything. Sarah wrapped her fingers around Lily's, and Lily's eyes went wide with wonder. She likes me. Of course she does. You're her big sister. Victoria was crying again, watching her daughters together. Her protector. I'll be the best protector ever. Lily looked at Victoria seriously. Promise. They brought Sarah home 3 days later to a house decorated with welcome balloons and a hand-painted sign Lily had made. The first weeks were exhausting, midnight feedings and diaper changes and the constant worry that new parents carried. But they managed, taking shifts, supporting each other, marveling at the tiny person they'd created. Victoria was surprised by how naturally motherhood came to her this time, without the fear that had marked her early days with Lily. Maybe because she'd already been a mother for over a year. Maybe because Ethan was beside her every step. Maybe because Lily was such an enthusiastic helper, always ready to fetch diapers or sing lullabies. We're good at this, Victoria said one night, watching Ethan rock Sarah while Lily read them both a story. We're a team. That's why it works. Spring turned to summer, and they settled into their expanded family. Victoria went back to work part-time at 3 months, the co-CEO continuing to handle what she couldn't. The board had stopped pushing for more, recognizing that Victoria's balanced approach was actually strengthening the company's culture and retention. You're changing how we think about success, Marcus told her one day. Making it okay to have a life. Good. It should have always been okay. Victoria bounced Sarah gently, multitasking a conference call and baby duty. We're not machines, we're people. We deserve full lives. On a Friday evening in June, almost exactly 1 year after their wedding, Victoria and Ethan stood in their backyard watching Lily push Sarah in a baby swing they'd hung from the oak tree. The butterfly garden Victoria had planted was in full bloom, monarchs and swallowtails dancing among the flowers. This is everything I never knew I wanted, Victoria said, leaning into Ethan's embrace. What did you think you wanted before all this? Success, recognition, the corner office, and the prestigious projects. She watched Lily make Sarah giggle. I thought achievement was enough, that building beautiful things for other people would fill the empty spaces. And now? Now I know the most beautiful thing I've built is this, us, our family. She turned to face him. Thank you for seeing past the Ice Queen CEO and finding the person underneath, the one who was scared and lonely and desperate for connection. Thank you for being brave enough to let me see her, for knocking on my door that rainy night and falling apart and giving me the chance to catch you. You did catch me, you and Lily. You saved me from a life I didn't even realize was breaking me. Victoria touched his face. I love you, Ethan Cole Hale. more than I knew it was possible to love someone. I love you too. Always have. Always will. They stood there as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, while their daughters played and laughed and the butterflies danced in the warm evening air. This was their life now, messy and complicated and absolutely perfect. Victoria thought about that rainy night almost 2 years ago when she'd stood on Ethan's doorstep, emotionally shattered, and screamed that he was fired. How that moment of breaking had actually been the moment everything started to rebuild. How losing control had taught her to live. How falling apart had shown her what it meant to be whole. "What are you thinking?" Ethan asked. "About that night I showed up at your apartment. How I thought I was losing everything, my authority, my composure, my carefully controlled world." She smiled. "I didn't know I was actually finding everything. That the best things in life come when you stop trying to control them and just let yourself fall. Into love. Into family. Into the beautiful, terrifying unknown of letting people matter." She watched Lily gently wipe Sarah's face, already the protective big sister she'd promised to be. "I used to measure my life in accomplishments. Buildings designed, projects completed, revenue generated. Now I measure it in moments like this. Lily reading Sarah stories, you making terrible pancakes on Saturday mornings. All of us tangled together on the couch watching movies. The little things. The everything things." Victoria squeezed his hand. "I finally understand what Sarah, your Sarah, knew all along. That architecture is meaningless if it doesn't serve life. That success is empty if you have no one to share it with. That love, messy, complicated, terrifying love, is the only thing that really matters." Lily ran over then, breathless and grinning. Sarah smiled, like a real smile, not a gas smile. "Come see." They walked together to the swing where baby Sarah was indeed smiling, a gummy, joyful expression that made all three of them laugh. Victoria picked her up, holding her close, and felt the weight of absolute contentment. This was home. Not the house, though she loved it. Not the career, though it still mattered. Home was this. These people who had chosen her and let her choose them. This family she'd been terrified to want and couldn't imagine living without. "Group hug," Lily demanded, and they gathered together under the oak tree. 4 people who had found each other through grief and courage and the willingness to risk everything for love. Later that evening, after both girls were asleep and the house was quiet, Victoria stood at her bedroom window looking out at the butterfly garden she'd planted. Ethan came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. "No regrets?" he asked. "Not one." She leaned back against him. "Though if you'd told me 2 years ago that I'd be married with 2 kids and working part-time, I would have thought you were insane. What would you have said your life would look like? Alone? Successful, but alone. Building beautiful things and coming home to an empty apartment. Telling myself it was enough." She turned in his arms. "Thank God you proved me wrong. Thank God you let me." They stood there in the quiet dark, holding each other while their daughters slept peacefully down the hall, and Victoria thought about all the versions of herself she'd been. The driven architect sacrificing everything for success, the lonely woman afraid to want more, the terrified girlfriend learning to love, the wife and mother she never thought she'd become. All those versions had led her here, to this moment, to this life. And she wouldn't change a single painful, beautiful step of the journey. Because some love stories don't begin with roses or perfect timing. They begin with a boss standing on a doorstep in the rain, mascara running, voice shaking, saying words that sound like an ending but are actually the beginning of everything. They begin with 2 broken people finding the courage to build something new. With a single father choosing his daughter and a CEO learning what really matters. With small moments of vulnerability that crack open worlds of possibility. They begin with someone knocking on your door and you being brave enough to let them in. And they end, if they end at all, with a house full of laughter and butterfly gardens and the absolute certainty that you chose right. That love, in all its messy, complicated glory, was worth every moment of fear. Victoria Colehale fell asleep that night wrapped in her husband's arms, her daughters safe in their rooms, her heart finally, completely full. She'd been fired from her old life that rainy night, and she'd never been more grateful for anything in her entire existence, Because everything she'd ever really needed had been waiting on the other side of that door, in the form of a man with kind eyes and a fierce little girl and the courage to show her what love actually meant. Home. Family. Forever. All the things she'd fired herself from finding, all the things that had found her anyway.